A painful childhood in a family of martial arts masters left the heroine with a permanent feeling of alienation and isolation from the outside world. When her sister approached her with concern, the heroine barely suppressed a tremor, assuring her that everything was fine, but her inner suffering was obvious. Gradually realizing her weakness, she felt the fragility of her life approaching, and the pain was reflected in her sad eyes. While she struggled with illness, her younger brother confidently went his own way, leaving her behind in the shadow of family expectations. Her destiny as the firstborn, expected to be a leader, was marred by a weakness that made her an outsider in her own home. During a sudden attack from the Bloody Valley, the heroine's house was filled with screams and panic, and she realized her helplessness. In the chaos of the battle, the family looked for the young master to protect her, but at that moment, the heroine felt the cold breath of death. Pain pierced her body like thousands of needles, but finally she felt that her family's suffering was also coming to an end. When she thought it was her end, suddenly waking up in a new, bright place gave her a sense of new hope. In this new life, she felt that the time had come to change her destiny and find her place in the world. The girl wakes up in bed feeling confused and wondering about what happened, as if she cannot believe her feelings. Her gaze fills with surprise. She is alive. But how is this possible? She feels herself, checking the reality of her surroundings. Looking around, the girl realizes that her body looks young. Shock fills her. She suddenly notices that she is a child again. Her thoughts are confused. She begins to doubt. Is it possible that she is not dead? Maybe it was just a strange, frightening dream? Dark memories surface in her mind. She is convinced. Death was real. It is not an illusion. But what is happening now? Carried away by a stream of clear waters and flowers, the girl remembers how the pain that had haunted her all her life disappeared, preparing her for eternal sleep. Her consciousness is transported to another world filled with radiance and joy, where she floats, watching the life going on below. Like a traveler, she sees the secrets of the universe, past and future, and this knowledge opens up to her, filling her with inner light. She remembers places she never knew and suddenly understands the essence of everything, returning to her body with a new understanding. The girl realizes that this is the beginning of a new chapter. Her childish eyes fill with hope as she wonders, what next? The girl suddenly realizes that she has returned to childhood. This fact causes a storm of emotions, but her thoughts are interrupted by a good-natured nanny with food. The nanny brings her a plate and happily tells her that after the medicine, something tasty awaits her. The girl looks at it with tenderness and surprise. The girl's thoughts are filled with doubts. She realizes that she must take the medicine, but she doesn't want to. Her stubbornness manifests itself in acute form. Despite the joy of being reunited with her nanny, the girl feels disgusted by the medicine. She struggles with herself, but decides to drink it anyway. Having finally overcome the test, she sighs with relief. The nanny praises her, calling her a beautiful child, which causes her embarrassment. The nanny rewards her for her patience with a sweet treat. The girl immerses herself in the enjoyment of the moment, feeling surrounded by care and love. The realization that she is being cared for in such a way evokes touching emotions in the girl. At these moments, she understands how dear these simple joys are to her. The girl remembers her past, 7 years of silence and isolation. Her life was empty and cold, like a shell devoid of a soul. Her past was full of hardship and loneliness. She lived in a body that was incapable of expressing feelings, which made her existence painful. But now a new path opens before her. She intends to start anew, surrounded by love and care that awakens her to life. The heroine's family tried to make her wake up using a powerful spell called Purification of Matter, which serves to strengthen the body and spirit. This spell helped restore the balance of her internal energy and prepared her body for the future path of martial arts. The family's despair was not in vain, and the result exceeded expectations. The heroine felt changes in herself and a new charge of strength. While talking to her loved ones, she decided to test her abilities at home, showing childish curiosity and determination. She asked the nanny for permission to take a short walk, despite her solicitous objections, and got her way. The nanny, having given in, hugged the heroine, but insisted that the walk begin only after the rest. But the girl was persistent, saying that she had to go immediately, and her character clearly showed the will to act. Later, seizing the moment, she was left alone, enjoying the freedom and the opportunity to test her thoughts without prying eyes. Before doing this, she made sure that no one was around so that she could concentrate calmly, and her determination noticeably strengthened. Remembering what she had learned while her soul was wandering inspired her to embrace new discoveries and possibilities. A blue glow envelops the girl's hand, filling it with a sense of strength and understanding. The hero realizes that knowledge is the key to understanding. A quiet glow surrounds the young girl. She understands that by gaining new knowledge, she is given a chance to try to change her destiny. The heroine recalls the moment when an endless universe opened before her eyes. She does not understand everything she saw, but she understands the value of the experience. The system informs about the setting of a convenient viewing mode, promising to provide information in a simplified form for better understanding. The girl suddenly understands the reason for her illness. The feeling of a new perspective gives her hope and inspiration. She believes that her rebirth was not in vain. The heroine's characteristics appear on the screen. Her health is critically low, and her internal energy is unavailable. She is lost in the flow of new data. Shocked by her low health, the heroine wonders how she can increase her health to the maximum to become stronger. Contemplating the world around her, the heroine realizes that she cannot use her internal energy, which is vital for her path as a martial arts master. Her mind is filled with anxiety. She does not understand how she will be able to achieve her goal if she cannot cope with these limitations. Full of determination, the heroine asks herself, how, despite the obstacles, can she realize her dream of becoming a martial arts master? The girl discovers a mysterious warning that exceeding spiritual energy above 50 points threatens death in 2 months. She is overcome with anxiety. Determined to survive, she realizes that she must lower her life energy levels to do so. Her face expresses determination and resignation to the task. She learns that the source of her problem is related to her unfinished study of a dark spell, which leaves her confused and full of questions. Memories tell her of an endless source of energy, a mysterious flower from the greenhouse. Her thoughts begin to clear. The realization of the reasons for her death in her past life overwhelms her. She remembers how over-investigation of energy led to tragedy. In her visions, her consciousness draws an image of brittle ice, which symbolizes the fragility of her body and excessive spiritual burden. Her body couldn't take it. This fact reflects the pain and sadness that accompanies her awareness and memories of the past. She recalls how, in her past life, no one could understand the cause of her illness. All attempts by doctors ended in failure. She then resigned herself to the inevitability of death, with no hope of salvation. This fills her present thoughts with dark memories. Now she is determined to change her destiny. She knows the cause of the disease and is ready to stay healthy to start a new life. The girl, bowing before her loved ones, promises that grief will no longer disturb their family. Her determination becomes a spark of hope in the dark room. A man vows to put his loved ones out of their misery against a burning landscape. His anger and determination turn into a bright flame of struggle. The young heroine is determined to live a long and happy life. Her sincere desire shines through the rays of light penetrating the garden. With clenched fists, she vows to destroy anything that stands in her way, her strength and determination transforming into a sparkling vortex of energy. Delving deeper into the study of spiritual energy, the heroine enthusiastically leafs through ancient books. Her determination grows along with her knowledge. With a magic fan in her hands, the girl decides to try to lower her energy level. Glowing lines of energy envelop her figure. The health level is slowly decreasing, but the energy is starting to stabilize. The girl is happy to notice the progress, animatedly discussing the results. Inspired by her success, she enthusiastically clears the air in the room. Her movements become rhythmic and fast, symbolizing her determination. Suddenly, the girl's face becomes filled with fear as she senses something strange. Her eyes widen in alarm as if she senses trouble. The heroine feels dizzy. Her consciousness seems to be leaving her. But in her eyes, there remains a spark of determination not to give up. Ryoan discovered a mysterious glow coming from a strange object. She touches it but feels dizzy. An interface with health and energy indicators appears before Ryun's eyes. She is shocked by the low health and the strange warning. The girl is trying to figure out how to reduce her excess energy. She is sure that she can cope if she starts using it actively. Realizing the futility of his efforts, Ryo-an wonders how to find a way to rationally manage this mysterious gift. Through the window, she notices how her energy affects nature, purifying the air and revitalizing plants. Her abilities surprise her. Despite the impressive results, the excessive use of energy exhausts Ryo-an, and she feels even worse than before. She sees the warning again, reminding herself of how difficult it is to deal with this gift. Ryo-an is overcome with confusion and irritation. Trying to find a way out, the girl considers studying medicine. She wants to be useful without exhausting herself. Her thoughts are interrupted by a joyful exclamation. Ryan sees her mother coming home, and her face lights up with happiness. Ryan, full of joy, rushes to her mother. At that moment, all her worries disappear and the room is filled with warmth and love. Wei Qi-cheng hugs Ryan, asking about the sweet potatoes. The girl happily recounts how she was treated, conveying her sincere gratitude. Ryan invites her mother to try the delicacy too, and a slight blush appears on her face. She wants to share the joy of the new taste with her mother. Mysterious writing appears on the scroll, revealing Wei Qi-cheng's characteristics. Her concerns are about Ryo-an's health, happiness, and future. Wei Qi-cheng says that Ryan should eat more, reassuring her that the doctors are taking good care of her. The warmth of their relationship is evident. She shows her daughter what she brought. Ryan is surprised by her mother's concern, who does everything possible for her well-being. Wei Qi-cheng brings jasmine to decorate Ryan's room. She emphasizes the importance of creating comfort and coziness for her daughter. Explaining the choice of jasmine, Wei Qi says the flower is not only beautiful, but will also fill the room with a pleasant aroma, enhancing the feeling of calm. She mentions how nature has blossomed, marking Ryan's miraculous awakening. Even the withered trees have come to life, as if celebrating this moment. Wei Qi-cheng gently touches his daughter's face, highlighting her beauty. Ryan is embarrassed, but feels the warmth and love surrounding her. The mother remarks that Song Ran would probably be happy to see Ryan now. She expresses pride in her daughter, filling the moment with touching tenderness. Ryo-an notices that her mother is thinking about something important and realizes that it is related to her father. She tries to understand her feelings. The memory takes Ryan to her father, who gently picks her up, reminding her that he would have taken care of her if he knew she was sick. Ryan turns to her mother and promises that from now on she will do everything to allay her worries. This brings hope and warmth to their conversation. Wei Qi-cheng remembers how she wanted to show Ryan to her grandfather. She is excited and hopeful that it will be a special moment. Ryo-an happily asks if she can see her grandfather. Her enthusiasm lights up the entire house, filled with love and anticipation. Mom tells Ryan that she should thank her grandfather because he made an important decision that had a profound impact on her life. Arriving at Grandpa's house, Ryo-an wonders what decision he made. Wei Qi-cheng announces that she came to express her gratitude. Danmok, hiding behind the curtain, warmly asks how his granddaughter is feeling, showing his deep concern for her. Ryo-an is grateful for the opportunity to perform the blood separation ritual, which became a real miracle that changed her life and the fate of her family. Ryun's mother does not hide her emotions, realizing that without Danmok's support and Ryun's own determination, this miracle would not have been possible. Wei Qi-cheng consoles Ryan by telling her that she should be grateful for the precious elixir that was given to her. The girl is surprised by such a gift. Ryan happily remembers that she was able to recover thanks to the medicine that grandfather Danmok gave her, filling with gratitude. She goes with her mother to thank Danmok. They pass through a courtyard full of morning light, which symbolizes the beginning of a new life. Ryan is shy and asks for permission to go inside. She is excited about meeting her grandfather, whom she has never seen before. Danmok, deep in thought in his room, notices a chill in the air, hinting at a premonition. Ryun, having made up her mind, goes inside. Wei Qi-cheng watches his daughter, proud of her courage. Ryun is full of anticipation. Ryo-an thinks about her past life when she was often sick. She does not remember meeting her grandfather and does not understand his role in her destiny. The girl sees the silhouette of Danmok, who turns out to be the key figure of the family. His figure is shrouded in mystery, which inspires respect. Realizing the truth, Ryan realizes that Danmok was the guardian of the family, but later he quietly passes away, leaving behind mysteries. The girl begins to doubt, was there something wrong with him? Her footsteps, sounding in the silence, convey her anxiety and determination to find out the truth. Ryoan, a girl with sincere eyes, is excitedly studying the secrets of the power that have been revealed to her. She is determined to learn more. She unexpectedly runs into the head of the Danmok family, who turns out to be her grandfather. This fact astonishes her and causes her inner trepidation. Ryoan reflects on his family's past, realizing that their greatness was threatened due to their failure to protect their legacy. The appearance of Danmok, a gray-haired old man with a determined look, surprises Ryan. He asks if she has come with sincere intentions. Ryoan can't believe her eyes. Her grandfather turns out to be the one who has remained a mystery to her for a long time. Danmok demonstrates the power of his insight by reaching the 3rd level. His ability to analyze and understand amazes his granddaughter. One look from Danmok raises Ryun's level of insight, and she is stunned by how his experience opens up new horizons for her. Ryun discovers scrolls that were previously unavailable to her, containing descriptions of skills that unlock new possibilities. With her new abilities, Ryoan realizes that she can now see the quality of items up to level 5, making her stronger. Reflecting on Danmok's failure to reach his full potential, she feels that her own journey is just beginning, full of discovery and determination. Ryoan, grateful to her grandfather Danmok for the precious medicine, bowed. Danmok explained that he had given the elixir because he could not use it. Danmok seriously emphasized the value of the elixir, which had been preserved for 10,000 years. Ryan wondered in her mind at the legendary history of the elixir. The elixir appears as a shining golden ball filled with earthly power transformed into concentrated yang energy, the grandeur of which cannot be ignored. Danmok reminds Ryan that she has a great responsibility ahead of her. He insists that she work hard to live up to the trust of her family. Ryoan enthusiastically promises her grandfather that she will do her best to live up to his expectations. Her sincere desire not to disappoint brings a warm smile to his face. To use the elixir, a special energy is required to help assimilate its power. This energetic combination symbolizes the balance of yin and yang. Ryoan realizes that her inner strength is different from others. She feels that her energy is unique and does not belong to the traditional concepts of yin and yang. Its energy resembles a soft flow, pure and endless. It is an inner force that adapts to any form but remains unchanged. Ryun intends to purify the elixir's energy and give it to Danmok. She hopes that this will improve his health and allow him to live longer. Danmok watches his granddaughter's actions with deep thoughtfulness. His heart warms with the hope that Ryan's efforts will change their fate for the better. Ryoan, full of determination, ponders how she can achieve success using her knowledge and wits, hoping for a better future. Danmok suddenly notices his granddaughter's smile and with slight irony asks about the reason for her joy, making her think. Coming closer, Danmok addresses Ryan seriously but warmly, showing concern and interest in her thoughts. The girl is slightly embarrassed, but responds with respect, emphasizing her sincerity in communicating with her grandfather, expecting his instructions. Danmok, sensing her sincerity, decides to thank Ryan for her attention and takes out something that seems important. He gives his granddaughter an exquisite gift filled with inner energy, showing his affection and wisdom. Ryoan accepts the gift with admiration, realizing that it is of great value, as his grandfather hints at. In her hands is an amulet that stores 14 levels of internal energy, personifying the long years of work of the great master. The girl is surprised to realize that the amulet is a storehouse of energy and ponders its possible significance in her life. With excitement, Ryoan ponders how to preserve this treasure, realizing the importance of the amulet and dreaming of using it. Ryoan, a girl with brown hair and purple eyes, holds a pendant in her hands. She realizes that she is losing her inner energy, and this makes her anxious. Looking at the pendant, Ryoan is filled with hope, realizing that this item is capable of storing and using her spiritual energy. Danmok, her grandfather, addresses her kindly and asks if she likes the pendant. The girl is surprised but clearly feels grateful. Ryan beams with happiness, clutching the pendant tightly in her hands. She happily confirms that she really likes the gift and can't help but smile. Danmok is relieved to hear her words, but still asks if she has any other wishes. His concern becomes obvious. Wei Cheng, Ryan's mother, encourages her, reminding her that the eldest daughter of the family should be confident and bold in expressing her wishes. Ryoan plucks up her courage and declares that she wants to learn martial arts. She feels the strength and determination in her heart. Danmok, hearing this, is confused. His face shows shock and he tries to understand his granddaughter's sudden wish. Wei Qicheng is surprised by Danmok's reaction. She thinks that her husband should be proud that their daughter wants to develop and become strong. Ryoan feels a little awkward seeing her family's reaction, but tries to remain confident. She thinks that her wish deserves support. Ryoan confesses to Wei Qicheng that she wants to learn martial arts despite her age. She is determined but inexperienced. Mother anxiously suggests that Ryan should first recuperate. Her anxiety is noticeable, but she tries to remain calm. Wei Qicheng can't hold back her tears, worried about Ryan. She prays for her recovery, trying to hide her emotions. In Weiqi's room, Chung explains that he is only crying because he is worried about Ryan. The girl reassures her mother, promising to wait until she is fully recovered. The mother smiles with relief, encouraging Ryan. Her joy is visible, appreciating her daughter's maturity and obedience. Danmok, Ryan's grandfather, declares that he will personally train her when the time comes. His determination is inspiring. Wei Qicheng gently hugs Ryan, reminding her that the most important thing now is to focus on recovery. The girl agrees. Ryoan, despite his zeal, promises to follow his mother's advice and gain strength in anticipation of future training. Danmok discusses with his assistant that he is surprised by Ryun's recovery. He is amazed by her speed and willingness to learn. The family watches Ryoan's progress, preparing for the future. Everyone is determined, united by concern and hope. The young apprentice reflects on how much effort his master has put in over the past 8 years, remaining in the shadows and not demanding recognition. Danmok is surprised by the girl's straightforwardness and calmness, looking at her with admiration, but cannot understand what she is talking about, getting lost in her words. The student discusses the situation with Danmok, professing his respect, but still trying to challenge his opinion of what is happening. Danmok's anger reaches its peak and he angrily cuts off the conversation, demanding that the discussion be stopped immediately and strictly. Danmok reflects on how the girl, who had only recently woken up, was able to become so collected and sensible, commanding the respect of those around her. The student mentally recalls that Ms. Ryan regained consciousness only a few months ago, and this seems incredible to him. Danmok decides that Lady Ryun's future as a martial artist will be discussed later, given her condition. He strictly insists that the subject of her education should not even be raised until then, instructing the student to follow this with due diligence. The servants discuss the rumors about Lady Ryan's meeting with the master, wondering what a commotion it has caused among the inhabitants of the house. The women comment that her return to life is a real blessing, and the young master must have suffered deeply all this time. Ryoan touches the bars with a wary look, wondering what's going on. The mystery of the situation makes you wonder about her intentions. The two servants watch, surprised and confused, as Ryan seemingly suddenly begins stirring the grain for the chickens, causing them to panic. With a beaming smile on her face, Ryoan enthusiastically asks if she is doing the task correctly. Her sincerity disarms the onlookers. The servant is tormented internally, realizing that he has handed over his work to Ryoan. His feelings are mixed, from guilt to fear of the consequences. The older servants discuss how inappropriate it is for the young mistress to be a servant. At the same time, their respect for her grows. Ryoan explains that she wants to take care of her grandfather, and she is genuinely happy, knowing that the chickens provide the eggs that he will eat. Those around her, impressed by her selflessness and kindness, exclaim how noble it is. Ryoan appears innocent yet determined. She continues to stir the grain enthusiastically, asking if enough has been done. The servants carefully prompt so as not to tire the mistress. Seeing the results of her work, Ryoan looks satisfied. The light of her joy illuminates not only her work, but also the hearts of those around her. The flower framing highlights how kind and caring Ryan is, even when doing the simplest of tasks. Ryan is delighted to see her hens, who have been waiting a long time to be fed. She enthusiastically prepares to take care of them, attracting their attention. Seeing something unusual, Ryoan looks around in surprise. Her eyes fill with curiosity, as if she had discovered something interesting. A huge black rooster with shiny velvet feathers appears before her. His impressive appearance amazes the girl. The girl next to Ryan notices that this rooster looks the healthiest, and his admiration slightly frightens the girl. Ryuan, her eyes shining with wonder, happily discusses a name for her new friend. She suggests calling him Blackie, apparently inspired by the color. The servant suggests naming the rooster Hyugwol, emphasizing its dark color. Ryan agrees, discussing the name with a smile. Inspired, they both decide that the name Hyugwol is perfect. The man and Ryan smile happily, feeling satisfied with the decision. The girl shows where to leave the chicken feed, explaining the convenience of using the feeder. Ryan listens attentively. She adds that the birds were already well fed in the morning, so it is possible that they are not too hungry now. However, the birds rush to the food with greed, proving otherwise. Ryan and the man laugh, watching the chicken's appetite. Ryun happily takes on the responsibility of feeding the birds, inspired by the idea of helping others and bringing joy to those around her with her sincerity. Ryan's grandmother is outraged to find birdseed in her granddaughter's hands, but the girl tries to find a way to earn praise. Ryuan ponders the distribution of spiritual energy, imagining how she could use her powers to best advantage. She recognizes the need to clear energy before transmitting it, visualizing this process as filling the vessels. Ryo-an realizes that the new method will not only allow her to regain her energy, but also improve her health, which inspires her. Working with birdseed seems like the perfect opportunity for Ryo-an to apply her new knowledge and develop her skills. The girl enthusiastically mixes the grain, hoping that her actions will benefit and strengthen the people close to her. The knowledge that her efforts may be excessive makes Ryo-an doubtful, but she continues to act. The birds impress Ryan with their appearance, reminding her that her care is paying off, even if she overdoes it. Seeing that her work brings joy to others, Ryan gains confidence and continues to care for the birds with renewed vigor. Ryo-an smiles as she talks to her mentor while watching the chickens. She seems to have gained their trust by feeding them heartily. The chickens eat their food peacefully, and the teacher suggests that Ryo-an visit the Moon Shadow Clan after the animal business. Ryo-an agrees with determination. Ryo-an dreams of a long life and realizes how many tasks still need to be taken into account in order to make his plans a reality. Thoughts about her health, family problems, and the stress of martial arts haunt Ryo-an, causing her to think about the future. Her mind is filled with worries about the enemies that once destroyed her family. She feels it is time to take control of the situation. Faced with the possible destruction of their family, Ryo-an decides that without a clear plan, they risk repeating their past tragic experiences. The teacher suggests visiting her grandfather. Ryo-an agrees, feeling that she can get answers to her inner questions there. Along the way, her gaze stops on a mysterious figure, and a vague feeling flashes through her mind that the child is familiar to her. Suddenly, a glowing scroll opens before Ryo-an. She is enveloped in mystical energy and receives a profound insight. Insight raises her level to the 4th star. Now hidden flaws in things are revealed to her, which causes surprise and delight. Ryo-an notices a strange boy who quickly leaves, leaving her wondering who he is and why he seems so unusual. Her curiosity grows. She decides to find out more about this boy, feeling that there is something important hidden behind his image. The girl decides to take action and asks her nanny to wait for her, rushing after the mysterious stranger so as not to lose sight of him. Ryo-an catches up with the boy, but he is surprised by her sudden appearance. The girl understands that he will not tell her anything just like that. She realizes that letting the boy go would be unforgivable, and she quickens her pace, feeling her interest grow into determination. The boy walks along the path, oblivious to his surroundings. His steps are calm, but there is something unusual about his figure. Ryun catches up with him, trying to get his attention, but the boy shows no reaction, as if closed off to the outside world. The girl notices that his face hides a secret. She realizes that his abilities could be incredibly valuable to her family. Ryo-an is shocked to realize that it is impossible to sense any emotion or energy from the boy, as if he is disconnected from the world. The boy looks at the scroll, which is riddled with synchronization errors. This causes him confusion, increasing the mystery of his image. Ryo-an notices a strange feeling as if she has seen the stranger before. Her interest deepens and she asks him to show her face. The stranger, reluctantly revealing his face, surprises Ryan with his calm and mysterious expression. She recalls a familiar trait. Looking closely at his face, she recognizes a mole under his eye in the shape of a tear. This awakens her memories of the past. Ryoan feels like they've met in a past life, and her gaze fills with surprise and a little fear. A sudden vision shows a dark figure of a stranger surrounded by a dark aura. The image causes a deep tremor in her soul. She remembers how in a past life she left a familiar place, pursued by enemies. Exhausted, she looks for a way to escape. Ryoan's heart beats so hard it feels like it's going to burst. Fear and fatigue mix with the desire to move on. At a critical moment, she falls into the arms of a mysterious stranger. His confidence seems to her the only salvation. With difficulty gathering herself, she offers her valuable things so that in exchange he will help her reach a safe place behind the mountain. The stranger agrees to help. Together with the warriors, he agrees to see Ryun off while maintaining a mysterious and menacing calm. A man in a black kimono with a sword in his hands is indignant, looking at his opponent. His gaze is stern, his words express dissatisfaction with the insolence of his interlocutor. The focus shifts to a young warrior with long black hair. His calm and cold gaze emphasizes the confidence in his own words. Ryoan, frightened and weakened, falls to the ground begging for help, but the warrior continues walking, ignoring her. Broken and alone, Ryoan watches his silhouette retreat. She silently begs him to stay, feeling abandoned. Later, someone from a powerful clan discovers her. She barely survives, having gone through terrible trials that left their mark. Years pass. Ryoan learns who saved her that day. This person becomes an important figure in her life, giving her strength. This is the head of the Maochan Temple, a man of stern appearance and decisive character. His appearance marked a new stage in her life. Ryoan is shocked. She realizes that this man was the same one who once passed by, leaving her on the brink of death. Memories overwhelm her, and questions swirl in her mind about whether their paths were connected before she joined the temple. The warrior dryly replies that he is visiting another temple, leaving the girl slightly confused. Ryoan is surprised to say that she is not trying to convert anyone, trying to justify herself in the face of a sudden misunderstanding. Her expression of naive fear makes one smile. Ryoan suddenly realizes the scale of the events and notes with admiration that her new acquaintance is capable of creating a great cult in the future. Hwa-ryun, the leader of a small temple, took charge of his business early. His thoughtful gaze and silhouette against the dark forest highlight his responsibility. The young leader works hard to fulfill his duties as the head of the temple and spiritual guide, despite all the difficulties that face him. He manages to reach incredible heights in martial arts, accumulating many impressive victories symbolized by his battle-hardened sword. Ryoan understands that when she meets such a person, she should hold on to him. She exudes determination as she considers her next steps. A conversation ensues between them. Ryan asks his name with a smile, surprised by Hwa-ryun's straightforwardness and mysteriousness. The girl annoyedly insists that he state his name, which elicits a restrained reaction from the boy. He finally introduces himself as Hwa-ryun. Ryan tells him she is 8 years old, while Hwa-ryun tells him he is only 6. The contrast in their ages creates an innocent, friendly atmosphere. The girl reflects on his martial arts, realizing that even her abilities do not allow her to recognize his true potential. She senses a strength in him that exceeds normal expectations. Ryan thinks about Hwa-ryun, recalling his past actions. She is convinced that despite his age, the boy is capable of changing for the better. Full of determination, Ryan realizes that the main step is to become friends with Hwa-ryun. She bows with a smile, showing her sincerity. Hwa-ryun looks at Ryan warily, not understanding what she is planning. His expression betrays surprise and slight disbelief. Ryan shows Hwa-ryun a mooncake, explaining that it is a reward for her good appetite, but she wants to share it with him. She notices that Hwa-ryun's hands are dirty and wonders how best to give him the gingerbread to keep it clean. Without waiting for a reaction, Ryan holds the gingerbread out towards Hwa-ryun's face, smiling as he encourages him to try it. Seeing her sincere smile, Hwa-ryun is a little embarrassed, but still takes a piece of gingerbread. His gaze becomes less cold. Ryan asks him if he likes the gingerbread, and happily shares that she really likes it herself. Hwa-ryun reluctantly agrees. Ryan's smile widens, inspired by Hwa-ryun's positive reaction. There is a sense of understanding beginning to form between them. Suddenly, Ryan sternly rebukes Hua-ryun for disrespecting his elders, lightly slapping his hand. Her change in tone confuses him. Ryan mockingly remarks that despite Hua-ryun's future leadership, he is not mature enough now. Her gaze expresses a slight reproach. Hua-ryun has a mark on his head from the blow and looks around in confusion. His reaction shows confusion and slight bewilderment. Ryan is concerned that she didn't hit him hard and asks if it really hurts Hua-ryun. He sheepishly replies that it's okay. In response to this, Ryan suddenly unleashes another blow on Hua-ryun, accusing him of showing disrespect, thereby increasing the emotional tension. Ryan adds in a stern tone that Hua-ryun must treat her with respect. Her words are insistent, emphasizing her desire for dominance. Hua-ryun suddenly smiles, finding the situation funny. His warm reaction makes Ryan slightly confused and embarrassed. Ryan begins to wonder if she may have overdone it with the blow, as Hua-ryun's reaction seems strange and unusual to her. She asks Hua-ryun worriedly if everything is okay, looking at him closely. Hua-ryun displays good-natured restraint. They are interrupted by a servant who says it is going to rain and urges them to go back inside. His words add a slight note of urgency. Hua-ryun calmly remarks that it's time for him to leave, leaving Ryan to ponder. The atmosphere changes to a more thoughtful and quiet one. Ryan is embarrassed when the nanny notices her attention to Hua-ryun. The girl looks dumbfounded and does not know how to hide her feelings. The nanny hands Ryan an umbrella, urging her to take it for Hua-ryun. The girl, despite her confusion, agrees to the proposal. Ryan, grabbing an umbrella, hurries to catch up with Hua-ryun, not wanting him to go out in the rain without shelter. Her determination is visible in every step. She hands the umbrella to Hua-ryun, a slight look of excitement on her face. He accepts the gesture with a slight confusion, but gratitude. Ryan confesses to Hua-ryun that she comes every morning to feed the chickens. She suggests that they meet at the same time next time. Hua-ryun agrees to her proposal, promising to come. His calm gaze and confidence give the moment significance. Ryan and the nanny watch as Hua-ryun leaves, and the girl watches him with a slight smile, trying to hide her excitement. The nanny notices how much Ryan worries about Hua-ryun, noting her caring attitude towards him, which causes her to smile warmly. The nanny advises Ryan to be kinder to Hua-ryun the next time they meet. The girl accepts the advice with a serious expression. Ryo-an agrees with determination, promising to follow the advice, her eyes shining with anticipation of their future meeting. Ryo-an walks through the forest, looking thoughtfully at her feet. She reflects on how, despite the difficulties, she cannot consider a person bad. The forest surrounds Ryan with a soft light. Her eyes light up with determination, and she feels that she can give this world and its people a chance at a new life. She sees a figure standing under an umbrella in the rain. The idea that she still has much to do in this life comes to her mind. Danmok sits in his room, wondering if Ryan really wants to learn martial arts. He looks at his granddaughter appraisingly. Ryo-an confidently answers that this is her sincere wish. Her face lights up with joy. She is full of hope and enthusiasm. Danmok is surprised by her persistence. He sighs heavily, trying to understand what motivates his granddaughter. However, a slight smile can be seen in his gaze. He wonders if her daily presence is changing his mind. Danmok is hesitant, but begins to soften. Ryo-an sincerely explains that her goal is not to persuade her grandfather, but to spend time with him. Her words touch Danmok, making him think. She mischievously declares that she wants to have tea with him. Her happy expression and playful tone fill the atmosphere with warmth. Finally, Ryo-an offers to make tea for her grandfather herself. Her enthusiasm makes him smile, and a sincere understanding is established between them. Danmok, rubbing his forehead, sighs heavily, clearly losing strength. He allows Ryan to do as she sees fit, showing his fatigue and trust. Danmok is lost in thought as he watches the tea being poured into the cup. He reflects on recent events and remembers that Ryan used to be clumsy. Ryan deftly pours the tea, her movements full of grace and confidence. Danmok is amazed at how gracefully she handles this task. Danmok looks at Ryan with surprise, wondering if her actions could possibly be the result of a blessing. His mind argues with his heart. Ryo-an reverently offers Danmoku a cup of tea, addressing him with respect. Her eyes show the desire to help and do something important for him. Danmok, accepting the cup, expresses gratitude. His face lights up with a rare smile, as if from a small but significant victory. The taste of the tea suddenly surprises Danmok. He ponders why this tea seems so special to him, although he has never experienced anything like it before. Danmok realizes that the same tea leaves have been used as before. However, he feels as if he is drinking a completely different drink, full of freshness. Danmok leans over the cup, trying to catch the nuances of taste, realizing that this tea contains some secret that amazes him. Ryan looks at her grandfather happily and asks if he liked the tea. Her face lights up with hope, and Danmok feels the warmth of her care. Ryan tries hard to impress her grandfather, Danmok. At first, Danmok warmly acknowledges her efforts and sees how much she resembles his son. He finds himself remembering his youth and the bright moments of his past through her sincere smile. Danmok's thoughts take him back to a time when his son was just as cheerful and energetic. This moment fills him with pride and a little sadness, because everything changes, but the warmth of family ties remains unchanged. When Ryo-an comes back to reality, she enthusiastically invites her grandfather to try her special rice cakes. She is sure that it will be a pleasant surprise for him, since she put all her care into making them. However, Danmok, looking at the prepared buns, has mixed feelings. Their appearance makes him bewildered and afraid, but he hides his emotions for the sake of his beloved granddaughter. Ryan beams with joy as she explains how long and hard she worked on her culinary creation. She emphasizes that the buns are healthy, hoping that her efforts will be appreciated. Danmok tastes the treat with restraint, but the taste leaves him slightly confused. Nevertheless, he praises his granddaughter, knowing how important his approval is to her. His words fill her with confidence and joy. Ryan is overwhelmed with happiness at having pleased her grandfather. She cheerfully asks him about his sleep and enthusiastically expresses her willingness to cook him more delicious food. Danmok, despite testing her cooking skills, suggests that she focus on her martial arts training. He reminds Ryan of the importance of balancing her concerns for her family with her training. A few days pass and Ryan visits her grandfather again. Her energy and enthusiasm once again fills his home. Danmok accepts her visit with a smile, enjoying the moments that their bond gives. Danmok warmly realizes that Ryan reminds him not only of his son, but also of his own values and life path. Their interaction becomes a symbol of the continuity of generations and the strength of family ties. Danmok tensely tastes the dish Ryan has prepared. His expression is a mixture of confusion and anxiety. Sweat makes his face shine and his lips tremble. He is clearly fighting the urge to tell the truth so as not to hurt his granddaughter, but the taste of the dish puts him in an awkward position. Danmok, still embarrassed, suppresses a cough and awkwardly comments on the taste so as not to offend Ryan. Behind him, the satisfied girl stands, beaming with joy at the thought of pleasing her grandfather. She believes in her success, and this only intensifies Danmok's internal struggle. Inside, Danmok decides that for a moment like Ryan's wedding, he will hire the best chefs to make the celebratory meal match her efforts. His thoughts are full of love and care, but his gaze remains focused on the cup he is holding, hiding his embarrassment. Ryo-an notices Danmok's reaction, but she is still confident in her success. Danmok, however, can't take it anymore and barely holds back another cough. His face is reproachful, but he still tries to remain kind for the sake of his granddaughter. Ryo-an, realizing that her rice cakes did not make the desired impression, admits that they are too hard and sweet, but her youthful optimism does not allow her to lose heart. The girl smiles shyly, hoping that her grandfather will appreciate her efforts. She comes to the conclusion that she has overestimated her abilities, but tries not to show her disappointment. Danmok gently evaluates the tea to smooth over her confusion. His voice is calm and encouraging, and his eyes are filled with warmth, supporting his granddaughter in her first attempts. Danmok gratefully notes that the tea is really good. His praise brings joy to Ryan, and her smile becomes even brighter. She decides that she will make tea more often now, because her grandfather appreciates her efforts, and this is the most important thing for her. Danmok understands how important it is for Ryan to be useful and to be praised. He offers her a well-deserved reward for her efforts, further inspiring the girl. His voice is calm and his gestures are full of care, creating a moment of trust and joy. The room is filled with a bright atmosphere. Ryan and Danmok are sitting at the table, surrounded by comfort. Danmok is smiling, and Ryan, content and happy, is beaming at his words. The most important thing for the girl is recognition of her efforts, and her happiness illuminates everything around her. Ryun looked at Danmok in surprise when she heard about the reward, and he asked her to voice her wishes. The girl thought about it, feeling the sincere concern of her grandfather, who wanted to help her fulfill her dream. Danmok thought about what Ryan might ask for, thinking that she might ask for something related to Hwa Ryun, the boy she had begun to spend a lot of time with. His words reflected an understanding that the girl valued her loved ones. In remembering Hwa Ryun, Danmok described him as a child who was forced to survive among the merchants by helping them with small chores and carrying their luggage. This emphasized the difficult fate of the boy who was part of their world. Ryan looked at her grandfather, who was deciding what to do for Hwa Ryun. Danmok, considering that the boy had nowhere to go, decided that allowing him to accompany his granddaughter would be the best option. After collecting her thoughts, Ryun declared that she wanted to learn martial arts more than anything. Her eyes were filled with enthusiasm, and her sincere desire came as a surprise to Danmok. Danmok thought about the seriousness of her wish and asked how much she wanted it. Seeing his granddaughter's determination, he accepted her request, realizing that it was important to her. However, he warned Ryoan that before she could learn martial arts, she had to do one important thing. His words caused surprise and interest in the girl, who was prepared to hear the condition. Danmok announced that the first step for Ryun would be learning to read and write. The girl was stunned by this condition, as she did not expect to have to do something that seemed so far from her dream. She was incredulous as to how learning to read and write was related to martial arts. However, Danmok confidently reminded her that the heiress should not be uneducated, emphasizing the importance of knowledge. Ryan, full of determination, began to realize that despite the difficulties, she would have to follow her grandfather's instructions. She understood that this test would be the first step towards her dream. A little girl named Ryan, tormented by internal contradictions, reflects on her knowledge. She hides the fact that she can already read and write, and this creates a feeling of sadness and tension. Ryan, bending over the ground, draws with a stick, lost in her thoughts. She is worried about how long it will take to elevate her family. The girl curls up into a ball, looking depressed. Hwa Ryun notices her condition and carefully addresses her, trying to understand what is bothering her. Hwa Ryun notices the rooster's strange behavior and points it out with slight confusion. His gaze expresses a mixture of surprise and interest as he tries to figure out what's wrong with the bird. Ryan and Hwa Ryun look closely at the rooster, who really looks unusual. His feathers are glittering and his gaze is full of mystery, drawing attention to himself, as if he is hiding something. Hwa Ryun begins to notice that the rooster is truly unique. Its coloring and demeanor are admirable. Ryan, watching it, cannot hide a slight surprise as she sees Hwa Ryun begin to respect this bird. Hwa Ryun wonders how often he has looked at the rooster without noticing its unusual beauty. He comes to the conclusion that each time the rooster looks better, which makes him look at the bird in a new way. Ryan realizes that it was right to give the rooster more care and attention. She considers that perhaps she should get to know him better and even adopt him into the family. The girl is determined to show more concern. Hwa Ryun notices the bird's shiny feathers, comparing it to a phoenix. For him, the rooster becomes a symbol of nobility and grandeur. Both of their gazes are full of admiration and respect for the bird. Ryan smiles as she explains that the rooster's name is Hyukwol and that she takes special care of him. Her words show how important this unusual pet is to her. Hwa Ryun and Ryan finally agree that Hyukwol deserves their attention and respect. Their gazes connect, and a mutual understanding is established between them, as if the rooster had united them in one shared feeling of admiration. Ryun looked at her rooster, who had grown noticeably. She remembered how small he used to be, and wondered how he had grown so big. A shadow of doubt interrupted her thoughts. Had she accidentally overfed him? The question made her think twice about her care. Hwa Ryun, observing the situation, coldly asked Ryan what she was feeding her pet. The girl was embarrassed, but proudly replied that it was all because of her love and care. Hua Riyun remained dissatisfied, clearly not believing her explanation, and Ryan only smiled guiltily. The boy was angry at Ryan for her carelessness, expressing his displeasure. The girl felt awkward but still tried to remain confident. Her resentment was mixed with the desire to show that she cared not only for the rooster, but also wanted Hua Riyun to understand her. Ryan decided to reconcile Hua Riyun and offered him a taste of her treat. She persistently put a piece in his mouth despite his resistance. The boy was surprised by her determination, but the taste of the food quickly softened his mood, making him think. Hua Riyun finally stopped grumbling. He stood there in confusion, realizing that the food was indeed delicious. Ryan watched his reaction with a smile, happy that she was able to please him. At that moment, a warm understanding passed between them. Ryan curiously asked Hua Riyun if he knew the alphabet. He waved it off, wondering why she was suddenly interested. Ryan explained that she didn't know anything herself and suggested that they study the letters together, desperately hoping that he would agree. Hua Riyun was surprised to hear that Ryan didn't know a single letter yet. He honestly didn't understand how that was possible. The girl looked away in embarrassment in response, trying to hide the true motives of her proposal. She just wanted to be near him. Ryan added that her uncle was going to teach her the alphabet and invited Hua Riyun to join. She explained that it would be beneficial for both of them. Hua Riyun was wary of her enthusiasm, but became interested in her proposal. The boy, despite his distrust, thought about Rioan's words. He tried to understand what benefit he could get from it. However, the girl's sincere desire to get closer to him began to warm his heart, forcing him to reconsider his attitude. Hua Riyun finally melted when he realized that Ryan just wanted to spend time with him. Her enthusiasm and care impressed him, even though he tried to hide his sympathy. A sincere connection was gradually established between them, leaving room for new discoveries together. Ryan, looking at Hua Riyun, wonders where she can use her knowledge. Her naivety and desire to understand the future makes him smile slightly, and he tries to explain that one day this knowledge will help her read books on martial arts. However, Hua Riyun suddenly confesses that he has no intention of learning martial arts. His words stun Ryan, as her image of him crumbles in an instant. His serious gaze reinforces his determination. Her surprise turns to bewilderment, and she exclaims why he decided that. Hua Riyun replies with confidence that in their family, he will always remain just a shadow, no matter how successful he is. Ryan suddenly understands why the Hua Riyun from her past life ended up in Machon. She realizes that his actions and choices are explained by their family's complex value system and his own aspirations. Memories of Machon lead her to believe that this path can make him a strong student who can become a leader. This discovery in her eyes makes Hua Riyun special. Despite the potential that lies within him, Rioan knows that he will never be able to go to that place. The weight of his fate is reflected in her gaze, full of awareness of his limitations. She mentions the Hwasun clan of Seosong Island Castle, who value people's talents, and suggests this option. But Hua Riyun remains realistic and points out the huge distance to this castle. She, worried about his future, speaks passionately about the possibility of development. Her emotional outburst expresses the desire to protect him from mistakes and direct him on the path that can bring success. Hua Riyun slyly asks where Ryan would suggest he learn martial arts, causing her to struggle internally. Her confusion and doubts are visible in every gesture. He ends his argument by saying that learning martial arts comes with risks, and the only way to become great is to die. Instead, he chooses to live a long life, leaving Rioan to ponder his words. Hua Riyun looks at Ryan with disapproval as she kneels down in despair. The girl is at a loss, and the red background emphasizes the tense atmosphere. Ryan desperately searches for a way to convince the boy, but it seems that her attempts are in vain. Ryan panics when she realizes that her words have no effect on Hua Riyun. Her face is distorted in horror, and she frantically clutches the book to herself, wondering why he is being so stubborn. Meanwhile, Hua Riyun remains calm and just watches with his arms crossed. Hua Riyun directly states that he does not like Ryan's behavior, asking her to act differently. His calm and confident tone contrasts with her confusion. The girl, hearing his words, begins to think about her actions. Ryan approaches Hwaryun with an important question, trying to figure out why he doesn't want to learn how to protect himself from danger. She mentions the threat of the Blood Valley assassins and hints that knowledge could make him a great martial artist. Hwaryun brushes off Ryan's suggestions, explaining that even if he is in danger, the masters will always protect him. However, he adds sarcastically that he has no intention of becoming one of them, which puzzles the girl even more. Ryan tries to approach Hwaryun, explaining that knowing the letters will allow him to write letters, which will open up new opportunities for him, but the boy brushes off her arguments, claiming that even writing requires paper, which is not so easy to obtain. Hwaryun asks with genuine interest why Ryan is so persistent in convincing him to study. His eyes are curious and his tone remains calm, but behind his words is a genuine desire to understand her motivation. Ryuan just looks at him silently, her eyes full of doubt and sadness. The question rings in her head, why? However, she can't find the words to answer, and her facial expression says more than any words. Ryan knows that in the future, Hwaryun will go to the Macheon Temple, where the strongest become leaders. She worries about his fate, knowing that this place will create many trials for him, where weakness is not allowed. At the temple, children are trained to absorb the life energy of others. Ryan can't bear the thought of Hwaryun having to go through such hardships. She looks at him with determination, knowing that she wants to protect him from this fate. Ryuan anxiously recalls the harsh words about the cruel place she must go to. The snow-capped mountains and gloomy walls add a sense of inevitability and fear of the future, where she must learn brutal martial arts. Standing by the carriage, Ryuan looks out at the snowy landscape, filled with doubt. The thought of learning such cruel and merciless skills makes her deeply uneasy. Her internal struggle seems to be growing stronger with each passing minute. When she meets Hwaryun, Ryan expresses her desire to prevent the tragedy that she believes will happen if he leaves. Her words sound sincere, filled with fear of losing someone close to her. She decides that she can find a way to keep him close. Ryuan suggests that they study together, knowing that this will be a chance to maintain their bond. Her thoughts are filled with hope, as this is her way to save them from separation. Ryan explains to Hwaryun that if he agrees to write with her, he will be accepted into the family and they will stay together. The girl realizes that her plan is an attempt to preserve what is dear to her. Hwaryun is hesitant about her proposal, but his calm expression conveys a hidden willingness to listen. He looks at Ryan carefully and his eyes reveal a desire to understand her motives. In the end, Hwaryun agrees. This unexpected decision makes Ryan happy. Her eyes sparkle with happiness. She feels that her efforts were not in vain, and the tension inside her is replaced by relief. Ryan is thrilled that they will now study together. She is overwhelmed with joy, and Hwaryun, although he looks a little embarrassed, accepts her enthusiasm. Their shared goal becomes a symbol of their bond. Recalling this moment, Ryan feels at peace. She thinks about how amazing everything turned out and enjoys the warm atmosphere of the house. The landscape around her speaks of a new beginning. However, her calm is interrupted by a surprise. She is surprised to find something in the room. Ryuan's face is filled with confusion as she wonders about the nature of her discovery. Ryuan is surprised to see a strange boy standing next to her mother, Wei-Ki-cheng. She is at a loss to understand why this boy is so close to her mother. The setting is filled with bright colors and warm light, adding to the mystery of the scene. Wei-Ki-cheng explains that she invited a boy named Bia to their home because he is the same age as Ryun, and it would be beneficial for them to study together. Her smile radiates kindness and concern, which softens Ryun's surprise a little. The boy introduces himself as Bia and sheepishly remarks that his name is beautiful. His modesty touches those around him. Ryuan watches the situation with confusion, but gradually begins to feel interested in his new acquaintance. Bia sincerely promises that he will try to live up to Wei-Ki-cheng's expectations. His confident smile fills the atmosphere with warmth, which causes Ryan to feel mixed feelings, from bewilderment to mild sympathy. Wei-Ki-cheng expresses her hope that Ryuan and Bia can become friends. Ryoan doesn't have time to say anything, feeling that the situation is getting out of her control. This causes her to protest internally, but she watches silently. An energetic boy runs up to Ryoan. He greets Weiqicheng enthusiastically, clearly not forgetting to express his joy at meeting Bia. His sincerity makes even Ryoan smile. The boy, who turns out to be her younger brother, shyly promises to do his best and bows deeply. His funny behavior makes Ryan smile, and the atmosphere becomes more relaxed. Weiqicheng reminds Bia that Ryoan is like an older sister to him now, and that's what he should call her. This statement leaves Bia feeling a mixture of embarrassment and joy, while Ryoan is still trying to figure out what's going on. Bia hugs Ryan with genuine delight, calling her sister. Ryan is embarrassed but feels the warmth of his gesture, and her heart begins to thaw a little. The atmosphere becomes filled with joy and mutual trust. Ryoan accepts her new friend and brother. Her previous doubts give way to the joy of a new acquaintance, and the smiles of all participants emphasize that the friendship is just beginning. Ryan fondly remembers her younger brother Bia. She notes that he was always there for her during the most difficult moments of her life, even when she was sick and growing weaker every day. This realization fills her heart with warm and tender feelings. Remembering the meeting with her brother after a long separation, she sees his joyful face and sincere smile. Bia radiated light and energy, hugging her with genuine joy. She feels how his love and care fill her with new strength. Ryoan gratefully notes that despite her grave condition, Bia never left her side, supporting and caring for her. Even in moments when she lost hope, his presence restored her confidence, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. The memory of Bia begging her in tears not to leave him alone comes to mind. His words about how important her life was to him awakened in Ryan the determination to fight and recover for the sake of her family. She admires his abilities and energy. Bia, although younger than her, had great potential and a strong spirit. His care for his sister and his sincere desire to make her happy always inspired her. Ryan hopes that their fates will be happier in this life. She dreams of many years spent together with her brother, filled with the joy and warmth of family love without the previous losses and suffering. They spend time together, enjoying every moment. Ryoan sees Bia becoming more and more confident, and she is pleased to be an example for him. She feels stronger knowing that he is always there. When Ryoan asks Bia to call her by her first name, she sees his eyes light up with joy. This gesture brings them even closer, strengthening the trust and sincerity in their relationship. Ryan's mother, Weiqicheng, smiles and supports the initiative, noting that it will be better for their interactions. She encourages their mutual understanding, reminding them how important it is to be each other's support. Bia calls her by name with pride, and Ryoan feels their connection deepen even further. This moment becomes a symbol of a new chapter in their lives, full of happiness, hope, and love. A young man with long brown hair inspires children in a blooming garden. His gaze is full of kindness and determination, and soft light spreads around him. In his hands, he holds an ancient scroll, asking his students to write complex hieroglyphs symbolizing important virtues. The child shouts out an answer enthusiastically, sitting among his classmates at low wooden tables. The room is warm, with light streaming through the windows, creating a sense of coziness and concentration. The teacher smiles softly as he watches his students try. The violet-eyed girl, Ryoan, looks worriedly at the boy next to her. She wonders how he's doing with the task, since she was the one who convinced him to join the class. Her face shows concern, but also tender concern. After the lesson, the children show off their scrolls, covered in neat hieroglyphs. The teacher approvingly evaluates their efforts, and a light wind picks up the sheets, creating a mesmerizing movement around them. The atmosphere is filled with a sense of achievement and harmony. The teacher imparts wisdom to the students. He speaks of the greatness of the sword gomel, known as a symbol of power, and the sacred beads that shine like stars. The children listen with bated breath, their eyes shining with curiosity. The teacher radiates calm and confidence. The boy asks with genuine interest about the meaning of the shining beads. The teacher cheerfully explains, accompanying the story with gestures. His energy is infectious to the students, creating an atmosphere where even complex ideas become understandable. The teacher, laughing, assures that there is nothing wrong with the students not knowing everything yet. His sincere laughter makes the children smile. He promises to tell them everything they need to know, adding ease to the learning process. Ryoan wonders internally if it's too much of a waste of his talent to sit here and teach children to write instead of doing great things. Her internal monologue reflects admiration mixed with bewilderment at his choice. Guilt appears in the girl's thoughts. She feels that the teacher is doing this because of her, worried about her future. Her face lights up with deep emotions, a mixture of gratitude, embarrassment, and respect for his sacrifice for their common cause. A dark shadow from the past suddenly awakens in the teacher's soul. The dark event that left scars on his heart once again reminds him of itself. His appearance at this moment is colored with sadness, and his eyes reflect the depth of the pain he carries within himself. 7 years ago, Ryan, as a baby, found herself in the middle of a bloody battle. A brutal attack devastated their village. Her father died protecting the family, and Uncle Hyunwoo took it upon himself to save his sister and her daughter, despite the chaos and fire all around. Hyunwoo sacrificed his life to help Ryan and her mother survive. However, the tragedy left an indelible mark. The girl, seeing her mother's grief and the loss of her loved ones, sank into a feeling of emptiness. She began to withdraw into herself, as if turning into a shell that had lost its vital energy. The memories of those events tormented Hyunwoo, who had failed to protect his entire family. Guilt overwhelmed him, reminding him of the lives he had lost. He felt like he could never be as strong and protect Ryan as her father would have done in his place. Uncle tried to hide his pain behind a kind smile, but his gaze betrayed his inner struggle. Gradually, he realized that he should become an example for Ryan, help her find the strength to live on and cope with her loss, and not drag her into the abyss of his suffering. Hyunwoo proposed a new tradition. They would write letters to each other to share thoughts and build trust. The children welcomed the idea, seeing it as a way to stay in touch. Their communication was filled with warmth, creating the foundation for a new future. Hyunwoo's lessons became a part of Ryan and her friends' lives. Their eyes lit up with curiosity and knowledge as they discussed what they had learned. Even their uncle's simple words about finishing their lessons made them happy and excited about what each day would bring. After school, Ryoan suggested they have tea together. Her smile lit up the room, showing that the light inside her was coming back. The simple but sincere suggestion brought them all together at the table, giving them a feeling of family comfort and warmth. While brewing tea, Ryan added a bit of her energy, as if sharing kindness and care with her loved ones. The surprised children watched her actions with curiosity, and Hyunwoo did not hide his pride, seeing how the girl was recovering and becoming stronger. Everyone was enjoying their tea, enjoying the company of others. Ryan looked at her friends and uncle with gratitude. Hyunwoo jokingly remarked that the villagers would pay a fortune for such delicious tea, filling their evening with light laughter and coziness. Ryoan realized how important her uncle was in her life. His support, attention, and care helped her overcome her pain and feel joy again. Every moment they spent together strengthened her spirit, giving her hope for a brighter future where joy and love would once again be found. Ryoan savors the taste of the tea, surprised by how refreshing it is. Bia is genuinely happy, expressing genuine admiration. It creates an atmosphere of warmth and comfort, reflecting their genuine closeness and joy in simple pleasures. Ryan feels a quiet joy as she watches the reactions of her loved ones. She notices how her efforts make others happy. This scene highlights her caring nature and her desire to make others happy. Bia and Hyunwoo discuss the taste of the tea, and Ryan's expression betrays her excitement. However, Hyunwoo's unexpected reaction makes her wonder if everything went as planned. A slight intrigue builds in the room. Hyunwoo looks at Ryan with a mysterious smile. She tries to figure out what he knows, but his mysterious expression makes her confused. This adds a touch of mild mystery to the story. Hyunwoo praises Ryan for her sincerity, emphasizing that this feeling is transmitted even through tea. He lets her know that hard work and determination always lead to success, inspiring her to new achievements. Bia excitedly asks her sister if she is learning martial arts from her uncle. This genuine reaction shows his admiration and desire to be like her, adding a familial warmth to the story. Hyunwoo assures Bia that once he learns to read and write, he too can learn martial arts. This scene reveals the boy's dreams and ambitions, making the viewer empathize with his aspirations. Hyunwoo promises the children a reward if they succeed in their studies. His friendly smile and confident words fill the scene with optimism, inspiring the characters to strive. Ryan lies in bed, sweltering in the heat. She contemplates the beautiful weather, but her condition shows that the hot sun is causing her many hardships, adding realism to her daily life. In her room, Ryan ponders the possible changes in her life. She decides to find a way to escape the difficulties before they become too difficult. This scene shows her willpower and desire for a better future. Ryo-an realizes that the Blood Valley assassins will become stronger in 10 years. She muses that she needs to prepare for their arrival by learning as much as she can about their techniques and methods. The girl goes to the library to find all the books related to the Bloody Valley under the guise of regular reading. The more she reads, the more her anxiety grows. She learns that the Blood Valley's techniques are destructive and brutal, reminiscent of the claws of beasts. No one has yet been able to decipher the mind control method used by these killers. Ryun muses that it takes a long time for a martial artist to become stronger, regardless of the use of elixirs or spiritual practices. However, the Bloody Valley masters stand out from the crowd. They have found a way to speed up their progress by accumulating a huge amount of internal energy, making them extremely dangerous opponents. The girl wonders if there is a practice that can accumulate internal energy so quickly. She reads ancient texts, hoping to find answers. She realizes that this path is fraught with the risk of madness. If the process of energy accumulation is accelerated, one can lose one's mind, which can only be stopped by quenching the thirst for human blood. Ryo-an is amazed by the strength of those who have mastered the art of the Blood Valley. She wonders if they are able to survive even after being seriously injured. The leader of the Blood Valley has secret techniques that make him nearly invincible. Tired of thinking, she decides to take a breather. Ryan admits that it is too hot and hard for her to think about everything at once. She puts down her books to rest and collect her thoughts. A man appears in her room and notices her relaxed state. He jokingly points out that she decided to lie down because of the heat, causing Ryan to feel slightly embarrassed. Hwa-ryun addresses Ryan with a slight mockery, noticing something interesting in her hands. His gaze is full of hidden curiosity, and his tone makes Ryan tense up. She tries to remain calm, but her thoughts are filled with anxiety because she knows that he suspects something. Ryan looks around her spacious room, full of light and elegance. Hwa-ryun, slightly mockingly, remarks that her conditions are much better than others. The girl can't help but think about her privileged position, trying not to show her true emotions. Hwa-ryun, noticing that Ryan was studying something too intently, comes closer. His voice sounds slightly challenging, which makes the girl wary. She looks up, trying to come up with an explanation for her infatuation, but finds it difficult. When Hwa-ryun notices the book about the Blood Valley, his expression turns serious. He asks a direct question, and Ryan freezes in surprise. She quickly comes up with an excuse, but his intense gaze makes her words less convincing. The girl looks away, nervously explaining her interest in the book as a coincidence. Hwa-ryun is in no hurry to believe her words, his persistence unsettling Ryan. The tension between them grows, and his questions become more penetrating. Ryan secretly tries to understand how Hwa-ryun knows about the Blood Valley, as it is a topic far from common knowledge. Her worries increase, but she decides not to show her fears, trying to keep her secret safe. Curious but also wary, Ryan asks Hwa-ryun if he has encountered anyone from the Blood Valley. His confident answer that he knows about the cult stuns the girl. Her face shows a mixture of surprise and concern. Hwa-ryun continues, claiming that he has never met the blood cult, but knows enough about them. His words sound almost accusatory, and he asks Ryan why she needs such books. The girl quickly makes an excuse, but looks embarrassed. Hwa-ryun suddenly hands Ryan a vessel with chunks of sparkling ice. She accepts it with surprise, relaxing a little at his unexpected concern. However, there is still a wary look in her eyes, as his knowledge remains a mystery to her. Ryan takes the ice, but her mind is elsewhere. She wonders how much Hua-Ryun knows about her secrets. The excitement inside her grows stronger as his behavior becomes more and more mysterious, and his words arouse more and more suspicions in her. Ryan curiously asks Hua-Ryun where he got the ice he's holding. Hua-Ryun explains that he got it as a reward for a job well done. The girl enthusiastically praises the boy for his resourcefulness, marveling at his ability to obtain such a rare resource. Ryan wants to know who exactly Hua-Ryun helped. The boy sheepishly explains that he supported a woman from a fabric store who was looking for ice to treat her sick child. Her gratitude was the reason for this gift. Hua-Ryun recalls meeting a woman with a sick son whose symptoms resembled other cases he had seen before. He learned of the family's plight in the slums, where he decided to help despite the difficulties. According to the boy, a monk passing by suggested a cure to find a certain plant in the mountains. Hua-Ryun decided to go to the mountains to save the child and ease the mother's suffering. After collecting the plant, Hua-Ryun brought it to the woman. She, in tears of gratitude, gave him ice. This gesture touched the boy, and he realized how important it is to help those in difficult situations without expecting a reward. However, Ryan notices Hua-Ryun's hands, which are injured from searching the mountains. She worries about the boy, but he tries to calm her down, assuring her that everything is fine and the ice was worth it. Hua-Ryun, who is hesitant about bringing ice, sees Ryan's joy, who finds the coolness to be the perfect way to improve her mood. She convinces him that it was worth it, and his efforts really did help. Ryan decides to ask Hua-Ryun if he is going to learn martial arts. His unexpected excuse that he has not yet learned all the letters makes her smile and admire his clever answers. Ryan suspects that Hua-Ryun has long since learned the letters, but prefers to joke about it. She wonders why the boy chose this explanation, finding hidden meaning and kindness in his words. Hua-Ryun's calm and kind manner makes Ryan see him as an unusual friend. She understands that his actions are dictated by a sincere desire to help others despite his own difficulties. Hua-Ryun, looking back on his path, ponders that perhaps giving up on martial arts will save him from a dark future. He feels the burden of making a choice that could change his destiny and makes him insecure inside. Ryan asks Hua-Ryun why he needs to learn martial arts, and does he want to become a great master? This topic makes Hua-Ryun think about the true purpose of his path, causing mixed feelings. Ryan explains that it is not easy to become strong among those who master martial arts. However, Hua-Ryun points out that it is impossible to achieve everything you want, much less become the greatest master. Hua-Ryun analyzes whether it is worth pursuing the title of the strongest. He comes to the conclusion that if becoming a master is the only goal, then it seems meaningless to him, because there are other important things. Ryan supports Hua-Ryun by saying that becoming a great master is not necessary. Her sincere words fill him with warmth, and she shares her vision of happiness that is not tied to strength. Ryan confesses that she wants to live a long and happy life with her loved ones. This touches Hua-Ryun's heart, making him think about protecting those dear to him if someone tries to take away everything important. After realizing his fears, Hua-Ryun decides to become strong enough to protect his loved ones. Ryan laughs, trying to cheer him up, adding lightness to their conversation. Hua-Ryun notes that if he is threatened, he will turn to his friends for help. However, Ryan reminds him that he does not have any friends yet, but assures that he will have some in the future. Ryan happily declares that she is already his friend. This sincerity and lightness of her emotions become a bright ray for Hua-Ryun in his reflections on life. Hua-Ryun realizes that he still has a lot to learn. He realizes that being able to protect and care for those close to him is much more important than simply becoming the strongest, which finally strengthens his spirit. Ryan expresses her gratitude and sincerity with a beaming smile. She says that her strength grows just by being around Hua-Ryun. Her warm words show how much she values his presence, and her joyful attitude fills the atmosphere with light and harmony. Hua-Ryun looks at Ryan carefully, slightly taken aback by her words. His gaze is full of surprise and hidden excitement. Ryan notices this and wonders what could have caused such a reaction, but Hua-ryun, clearly embarrassed, quickly reassures her with a neutral answer. Late at night, Ryan peers out from behind the door, looking around warily. She seems anxious and calls out cautiously into the void, as if checking to see if anyone is nearby. Her curiosity and tension convey an air of mystery and anticipation. Hua-ryun appears at this moment and anxiously tells Ryan that she should be careful or she might get sick. His caring remark fills the scene with warmth. Ryan looks at him with mild surprise, sensing his genuine concern for her well-being. Ryan explains that she needs to go to the library despite the late hour. Hua-ryun is confused as to why she needs to go there so late, his face reflecting a mixture of surprise and slight anxiety, but he tries to understand her decision. After a brief consideration, Hua-ryun decides to accompany Ryan. His willingness to go with her at such an unusual time demonstrates his caring and responsible nature. This strengthens Ryan's trust in him, and she feels safe with him. Ryan walks next to Hua-ryun, feeling his hand gently but firmly hold hers. She notices his slightly tense movements, as if he is practicing confidence with each step. This increases her appreciation for his care. Ryan notes how Hua-ryun's footsteps resonate in the quiet of the night, as if he is trying to protect her from everything outside. Her thoughts fill with gratitude for his devotion, and she realizes how important he is to her at this moment. Hua-ryun's steps become a symbol of his willingness to be there and support her in any situation. Ryan realizes that he not only protects her, but also sincerely cares for her. Confidence is born in her soul that with him, she can overcome anything. Ryan wondered if she could help Uncle Hyun. Her thoughts focused on her unique abilities, and she realized that she could see other people's weaknesses. She felt the urge to use her skills to do something important for someone close to her. Among her abilities, one that stands out is deep insight, which allows her to notice hidden flaws. She sees Hyunwoo's image in front of her and sees his insecurities in certain areas. Her second ability, correcting these weaknesses, inspires her to take action. Ryan imagines her two powers combining to help correct Hyunwoo's mistakes and shortcomings. Her dreams of how she can be useful come to life in her mind. She feels a connection with her uncle as stars of hope light up in her mind. While watching Hyunwoo train, Ryan notices his mistakes in his walking technique. She realizes that his movements need improvement and decides to use her abilities to help him move more confidently. Ryan approaches Hyun and, concentrating her strength, begins to analyze his steps. She notices that his weight is not transferred evenly and that he is losing his balance. These observations inspire her to explain the correct technique in detail. She demonstrates how to smoothly shift your weight onto the back of your leg to make your steps lighter and more stable. Her voice is confident and her movements are precise. Hyunwoo watches intently as Ryan imparts her knowledge, amazed at her skill. When Ryan finishes explaining, she makes a demonstration step. Her movements are graceful, as if filling the surrounding air with magic. Hyunwoo is surprised by her ease, realizing that his niece has an unusual talent. Seeing Hyunwoo try to follow the steps, Ryan feels proud. His efforts become more successful, and she notices his confidence growing. Her help has been the key to his progress, and she is happy that her efforts are not in vain. Hyunwoo, amazed by the results, thanks Ryan. His words are sincere and filled with recognition of her efforts. Ryan is embarrassed, but joy flares up inside her. She realizes that her abilities are truly important and can be useful. A strong bond is formed between the two. Ryan feels that her gift is not only a power, but also a responsibility. She is inspired by the fact that she was able to help Hyunwoo and decides to improve herself so that she can support her loved ones in the future. Ryan arrived at the door of the storage room with Hyunwoo. The girl confidently stepped forward while her uncle asked her in amazement why she had come at such a late hour. His concern showed on his face, but he did not dare to stop her, only cautiously observing her actions. Finding herself in a messy room, Ryan looked around carefully. Hyunwoo sheepishly made excuses that it hadn't been cleaned for a long time. However, she didn't care. Her goal was clear, and she only said that she wanted to check something, despite his confusion. The girl walked resolutely towards the shelves with documents, and Hyunwoo followed her closely. He couldn't understand why she was there or what she was looking for. Her gaze slid over the papers as she tried to find what she needed, completely concentrating. Ryuan found the document she was looking for. She stared at it in silence, trying to understand the true state of affairs. Her eyes widened as she realized the gravity of the situation, and she felt that she had to do everything she could to figure this out. Thoughts of help that could only be expected up to a certain point came to her mind. She realized that she couldn't count on strangers forever. The family needed her efforts, and the girl decided that she had to make sure of the true state of affairs. The next day, Hyunwoo noticed that Ryan looked tired. Her younger brothers worried that she might be sick. They looked at each other, trying to figure out what was going on, and desperately looked for a way to help her. One of the brothers suggested that she would feel better if she were given flowers. He thought that a branch from a blossoming cherry tree would make her happy. However, the second brother was skeptical that flowers would hardly change the situation, trying to think of something more significant. The brothers thought about what they could do. They decided that Ryoan would be happy if they began to learn literacy and martial arts. Their desire to become strong for her sake filled them with enthusiasm and determination. They were inspired by this idea. One of the brothers asked the other if he could become a great master, to which he received a confident assurance. Their belief in themselves strengthened their spirit, and the desire to help their sister gave them the strength to move towards their goal. With these thoughts in mind, the brothers ran off to train, determined to fulfill their promise. Ryoan, watching their efforts, knew that her efforts were not in vain. Their journey together was just beginning, and in this she found hope. Ryoan lay in her room, thinking hard about her family's fate. The thought of how her family had ended up in such a dire situation caused her to have conflicting reactions. Horror mixed with nervous laughter, and fear of the future haunted her. The family fortunes worsened year after year. The number of shops that the family once took pride in diminished, and the lands they owned were rapidly disappearing. Ryung watched as their former wealth became a pale shadow of the past, leaving them in poverty. In the decline, they could only accept one student every 3 years. The lack of resources made it impossible to train more people. Ryan realized that the family business could no longer provide a stable income, and this caused her deep sadness. Even those students who came to their school did not stay long. Despite their diligence in training, many left after realizing that the school was no longer a place that could guarantee them success. Ryun felt that the clan was losing its former glory. She thought that maybe that was why Hyunwoo, her uncle, despite his strength and experience, was protecting her. She thought that it was connected to their common fate and an attempt to preserve the remnants of family dignity. Ryan herself was at a loss, not knowing how to help. At some point, Ryan came to the conclusion that money could solve most of their problems. The thought lit up her mind, and her eyes lit up with anticipation as she imagined the possible wealth. She realized that money was the key to rebuilding the family. Ryun believed in her own strength and the talent of her younger brother. She thought that together they could restore the family to its former glory. In her dreams, the family's wealth grew, and the glory and respect for their clan was reborn. These images inspired her to take action. However, looking at the reality, Ryun realized that their situation was too precarious. She was not sure that she could live to adulthood in such conditions. These thoughts weighed on her, forcing her to find a way out of the current situation. Realizing that this could not continue, Ryoan decided to take action. She firmly understood that money must be earned at any cost. She was determined to save her family, even if it meant overcoming many difficulties. She encountered misunderstandings in her conversation with Hyunwoo, but her determination did not waver. She was ready to fight for her family, for their future, and even her light clothes on a cold day symbolized her determination to face all difficulties. Ryan, who has barely gotten up in the morning, hurries to see her uncle Hyunwoo despite the chilly morning. He is worried, noticing that the girl might be cold, and wonders why she came so early. Hyunwoo is worried about her health, since the sun has just risen. Ryan happily states that she has already learned everything that was required, and smiles proudly, not noticing Hyunwoo's surprise. Together they walk inside, where Uncle is still surprised by her early visit and her eagerness. Hyunwoo wraps Ryan in a warm blanket, trying to keep her warm. The girl explains that she wanted to get the promised reward as soon as possible. Her enthusiasm makes her uncle smile, although he still chides her for being in a hurry. Uncle smiles and suggests that they go inside to avoid catching a cold. His concern touches Ryan, who happily accepts his attention, feeling the warmth of not only the blanket, but also his sincere concern. Hyunwoo, seeing Ryan's determination, suggests checking to see how much she has truly learned. His interest is mixed with slight skepticism, as the girl claims that she has already learned everything. Despite his doubts, Hyunwoo can't help but smile in admiration of Ryan's abilities. He remembers how talented his niece is, although he doubts that she could have accomplished the task so quickly. Ryan shares her thoughts with inspiration, showing the importance of not being afraid of mistakes, correcting them, and finding the right path. Her thoughts surprise Hyunwoo, who notices the maturity of her views. Hyunwoo is amazed at how deeply and quickly Ryan is learning the lessons. The girl beams with joy at his surprise. She enjoys the moment of praise and pride from her uncle. Uncle, inspired by Ryan's success, enthusiastically asks what she wants as a reward. Her efforts bring him sincere joy. He is ready to fulfill any of her wishes. Smiling, Hyunwoo agrees to Ryan's request, amazed by her persistence. He admires how persistent and talented his niece is growing up and happily supports her aspirations. Ryan shares her decision to go to the drugstore with a happy smile. Her eyes are filled with enthusiasm, and her appearance radiates warmth. Her goal is not just a visit, but something more that she has conceived in her bright head. Her sincerity attracts those around her and arouses their curiosity. Hangzhou, where Ryan lives, is a picturesque city in its wealth and grandeur. It is one of the most prosperous places, famous for its culture and markets. With its majestic architecture, the city seems full of life and opportunities for the enterprising. Ryo-on, thinking about her prospects, realizes that there is much that can be achieved in this place if one knows what to do. She thinks hard about how to realize her idea despite the competition and possible obstacles. Her mind glows with determination to find a way to success. She is struck by the idea of using her abilities to create a healing ointment. Ryo-on is hopeful that her unique product will benefit many people. She sees it not only as an opportunity to make money, but also as a way to share her skills and energy. The girl looks at her idea with admiration, imagining how her ointment will become popular. She sees that the product created by her family can become a breakthrough in the market. Her confidence inspires her to move forward, despite possible difficulties. She realizes that adding a little spiritual energy could make her ointment even more effective. This idea ignites her determination and desire to experiment. She already imagines how her creation will bring changes to people's lives. However, when researching the ingredients, Ryo-on discovers that their quality leaves much to be desired. She realizes that this may affect the price and the result of her work. This moment becomes a challenge, but does not stop her desire to find the best. After discussing the situation with Uncle Hyunwoo, she learns that the herbs come from different regions. Despite this, she is still disappointed with the quality. She does not lose hope and considers looking for other suppliers. Hyunwoo supports her ambition and suggests that she consider another store to look for ingredients. Their interaction is filled with kindness and understanding, which strengthens Ryan's resolve in her endeavors. Finally, an essential oil catches their attention. Hyunwoo offers to help get it, seeing how important this ingredient is to Ryan. Their teamwork and support for each other becomes the key to the success of her idea. Ryan listens with admiration as Hyunwoo explains how essential oils are extracted from different parts of plants. She looks at the jar labeled lavender with interest, feeling that she is looking at something magical. Ryan tastes the lavender oil, inhaling its aroma. Her eyes fill with wonder and delight. She smells the gentle, relaxing scent of herbs and flowers, bringing a sense of calm and peace. Hyunwoo explains that essential oils are divided into levels. Level 1 oils help to find harmony. Level 2 oils restore balance. Ryan begins to understand that using them is not only pleasant, but also useful. Ryan enthusiastically suggests Hyunwoo to get more oil from the shelf, dreaming of examining them all. Hyunwoo is surprised by her determination and wonders, with a slight smile, what she is planning. Ryung learns that lavender and peppermint oils are considered high quality and blend perfectly together. She is inspired by the idea of mixing these ingredients to create something unique. The girl begins to mix the oils, visualizing a soft glow emanating from their combination. Ryun feels her energy being renewed, and the mixture itself seems to gain special power. A small bottle filled with oil of harmony appears in Ryan's hands. She learns that this remedy helps with headaches, fatigue, and even joint problems, restoring energy and relieving pain. Full of enthusiasm, Ryun decides to test the effectiveness of the oil. She believes that with its help, she can improve the lives of many people and even make a lot of money, inspired by a new idea. Hyunwoo looks at his niece, who seems absorbed in her discovery, puzzled. He prepares to explain that her plan may not be as simple as she thinks. Ryan, remembering a strange dream where the deities gave her advice, tries to hide her excitement. She decides not to tell anyone yet that the flowers in her house remain green even in autumn, to avoid unnecessary questions. The girl Ryan, hearing that her uncle Hyunwoo is suffering from a headache, decides to help him. She brings him a jar of ointment that she has prepared. Her caring behavior surprises and pleases Hyunwoo, causing a slight smile to appear on his face. Ryan confidently tells her uncle that the ointment can ease the pain. She shares that the spirits gave her the recipe. Hyunwoo is hesitant at first, but her sincere eyes make him feel trust and touching gratitude. The girl confesses that she made the ointment to help Hyun because she can't stand to see him suffer. These words touch him deeply, and he realizes how much she cares about his feelings. Hyunwoo applies the ointment and soon feels his head lighten. This surprises him and makes him a little confused, because he did not expect such a quick effect from such a simple remedy. He realizes with relief that the headache has actually gone away. This discovery brings genuine admiration and joy to his face, and his doubts are completely dispelled. Ryo-an, seeing that her uncle is feeling better, is genuinely happy. Her happiness is transmitted to those around her, and she shares her emotions, enriching the atmosphere with warmth and care. She decides to make the ointment for other loved ones too, because her creation has proven so effective. She sets to work with a smile, demonstrating her responsibility and love for those around her. Hyunwoo asks if Ryan experienced any pain or discomfort when communicating with the spirits. She is touched by his concern and replies that it was easy and even fun, which reassures him. Ryan sees how grateful her uncle is. Hyunwoo expresses his appreciation for her efforts by smiling at her with genuine warmth. It makes their day special. In the end, Hyunwoo feels his worries disappear and is immersed in a sense of calm. Ryan's care becomes not only a cure for him, but also a confirmation of their strong bond. Ryan, with a sincere smile on her face, appears in a bright green jacket with a floral pattern. She thinks anxiously about Hyunwoo, hoping that her uncle will not worry too much about her, since her concern warms his heart. Danmok looks closely at the ointment Ryan has prepared, admiring her skill at mixing the ingredients. His eyes radiate pride as he notes how skillfully his granddaughter used essential oils to create the remedy. Hyunwoo happily confirms that the ointment was indeed made by Ryan, excitedly recounting how he named it Blue Lotus as he shows the bottle to his grandfather, who listens with a slight smile. Hyunwoo begins to explain how the ointment helps with high blood pressure, but in a fit of enthusiasm, he begins to demonstrate its effect on Danmok. Danmok reacts with slight annoyance, but understands that Hyunwoo just wants to help. Danmok interrupts Hyunwoo, firmly saying that he can handle it himself. His hand pushes Hyunwoo away, showing that he appreciates the care but prefers to be independent, without losing his respectful tone. Hyunwoo laughs, justifying his actions by saying that he wanted to ease his grandfather's condition. His wide smile and friendly gaze show that he genuinely cares for the family and does not hold grudges. Danmok notices that Ryan Hyunwoo seems happier after his recovery. He admits that for many years Hyunwoo blamed himself for what happened, but now the atmosphere in the family has become warmer. Hyunwoo agrees with his grandfather and adds that he intends to give his grandfather a relaxing massage to make him feel better. Danmok reluctantly agrees, still smiling to himself. Hyunwoo's hand touches Danmok's shoulders, and a soft glow of blue light emanates from the ointment. He asks with concern if his grandfather feels stronger, and Danmok nods with a smile. Ryo-on, immersed in the process, prepares a miracle cure. Her skills and knowledge amaze those around her. She managed to memorize the recipes of many healing remedies, and her talent amazes her grandfather and uncle, inspiring them to new achievements. Hyunwoo, observing Ryan, decides to devote himself to studying herbal medicine to become more useful. Danmok skeptically notes that after so much idleness, it's time to learn something, adding irony to his words. Danmok smirks and teases Hyunwoo, asking if he can teach Ryan and perhaps learn something together. Hyunwoo considers taking an independent role in teaching, emphasizing his interest and responsibility. Inspired by the new idea, Hyunwoo suggests sending the blue lotus as a gift to the allies, including the head merchant. He enthusiastically discusses the idea with Danmok, trying to convince him of the importance of this move. Danmok reacts to the proposal with restraint, explaining that the consequences must be weighed. His seriousness hints at an underlying concern about how such a gesture might be interpreted by other parties. Danmok elaborates that sending gifts immediately after Ryan awakens could be taken as a sign of renewing old arrangements. His concern reflects the complexity of interpersonal relationships and political decisions. Hyunwoo agrees that their actions can indeed be misunderstood. His thoughtfulness highlights his awareness of the possible risks, which makes him more responsible in his proposals. The story takes us back to the past, where it tells of the friendship between the Danmok and Doksun families. Their long-standing ties were reinforced by the desire to become related through the marriage of their descendants, symbolizing their loyalty to the union. Ryun, the Danmok's newborn granddaughter, and the Doksun's 4-year-old grandson were to be the symbol of this union. The fate of both babies seemed predetermined, uniting their families. However, the plan was not destined to come true. Even 100 days after her birth, Ryan remained extremely weak, causing her family deep concern and sadness. The grief of Ryan's mother, who, losing hope, cries in her empty nursery. Her despair reflects the gravity of her situation and her helplessness in the face of the unpredictability of fate. Tan Yue-sol, showing amazing talent, demonstrates his skills in the duel. His movements are precise and confident. He easily overcomes his opponent, causing admiration of those around him. The confidence and sparkle in his eyes emphasize his desire for perfection. Danmok reflects on his role in helping Ryan, admitting that he once supported her with medicine, but that they no longer have any connection. His gaze is stern, and the wrinkles and scars speak of a long and difficult life. Hyunwoo suggests sending a gift to the head merchant to express his gratitude. Danmok agrees to the suggestion, and their conversation takes on a businesslike tone. Mutual respect is felt in their every move. Hyunwoo happily declares that he will now begin to teach Ryan martial arts. His excitement is infectious, and his eyes are full of enthusiasm, as if he is anticipating new victories. Enthusiastic about Ryo-on's speed of learning, Hyunwoo predicts that she will master the art of the sword with similar success. Danmok, however, reacts with restraint, as if wanting to curb his brother's excessive enthusiasm. Danmok tells Hyunwoo to stop chatting and get to work. His sternness clearly doesn't bother Hyunwoo, who leaves with a smile, confident in his endeavors. Hyunwoo rushes to call Ryan to practice together. He is enthusiastic and determined to involve his niece in training. However, his fiery manner draws comments about his behavior. Suddenly, there is a noise and the young maid falls, barely able to keep her balance. Hyunwoo immediately rushes to help, his concern evident in every gesture. The maid delivers disturbing news. Ryan has fainted. Hyunwoo doesn't hide his fear, and Danmok behind him remains cool, although his gaze betrays tension. Ryan wakes up and opens her eyes, her condition causing concern to Hyunwoo. He does not hide his joy at seeing her come to her senses and watches with relief as she tries to stand up. Wei Cheng looks at Ryan with a mixture of worry and relief. The girl has just woken up after a serious illness, and her mother, overcome with emotion, whispers words of love, frightened by the past events. The doctor tells Ryo-an that she will get better if she pays more attention to her health. Wei Cheng thanks him, seeing her daughter slowly coming back to life, and thinks hopefully about the future. Ryo-an recalls that she lost consciousness due to overexertion of energy. She admits that she overexerted herself, creating a protective barrier. The girl realizes that she needs to be more careful to conserve her strength. Ryo-an realizes that her salvation was possible thanks to a rare healing plant, the jade herb, and she feels grateful for the help that came to her at the most necessary moment. The doctor explains that jade grass has unique properties, restoring energy. Ryan wonders how they managed to get it during such a difficult period, appreciating this rare chance. Wei Cheng is relieved that the boy Ryo-an was able to find the plant. She is truly grateful to him, knowing that his efforts saved her daughter. Ryo-an is shown going to the mountains despite the cold autumn day and finding jade grass to save the lady. His persistence became the key to her recovery. Wei Cheng says that now that her daughter is feeling better, she will be able to spend more time taking care of the boy. Her eyes are full of warmth and tenderness. Ryo-an realizes how much the boy has done for her and decides that she must repay him. Her resolve is strong and she feels guilty for his sacrifices. Ryo-an, full of determination, tells herself that she must take care of Ryo-an. Her heart is filled with gratitude and a desire to help the one who saved her life. Ryan, waking up on her bed, clutches her head, weak and confused. Her anxious state is noticed by Hua Ryun, who asks how she is feeling with a worried expression. The girl tries to pull herself together, but seems depressed, hinting at an illness. The girl, despite her weakness, tells herself that she needs to move forward. Her breathing quickens and beads of sweat appear on her face. She assures herself that she can get up despite the feeling of fatigue and the internal struggle. Behind the screen, the servants discuss Ryo-an's condition. They are glad that she has awakened, as they had feared the worst. One of them notes with relief that the young mistress has finally regained consciousness, while another thanks the heavens for the long-awaited improvement. As Ryo-an continues to struggle with himself, the conversation outside the room turns to the doctor, who was focused on saving the boy. A mysterious herb is mentioned that apparently played a key role in the boy's recovery, adding to the intrigue of what is happening. Hua Ryun, lying on his bed, reflects on Ryan's recovery. His vision is clouded with weakness, but hope awakens in his soul. He quietly comforts himself, waiting for the girl to fully recover, which brings him inner peace. With a relieved expression, Hua Ryun realizes that the situation is starting to stabilize. A warm smile touches his lips as he remembers how much has already been done for his recovery. This thought helps him relax and finally fall asleep. Ryan leans over Hua Ryun, scolding him for his careless actions that led to his illness. Her face shows a mixture of concern and indignation, and she lightly touches his arm, trying to convey support but still worried about his health. Hua Ryun, awakened by the touch, opens his eyes and calls out to Ryan in a weak voice. His gaze is full of embarrassment and vulnerability, which touches the girl. She stays by his side, ready to support him in his difficult moment. The girl gently asks Hua Ryun to rest, giving him the medicine. He barely holds back a grimace from the bitter taste, but still takes the potion. Their connection becomes even deeper, and the scene is filled with warmth and sincerity. Ryan, with a gentle and confident voice, persuades Hua Ryun to be obedient and take all of the medicine. She carefully holds out a spoon, encouraging him. An atmosphere of trust is established between them, and the boy, overcoming himself, swallows the potion. Ryan looks at Hua Ryun lying on the bed with curiosity and wonders, with a slight mockery about where the brave young man who so diligently searched for herbs in the mountains is now. She is happy about his recovery, trying to hide her excitement with a smile. Hua Ryun, with a slightly embarrassed smile, replies that if he had known in advance how things would turn out, he would have definitely left something in reserve. He proudly reminds about the difficulty in finding the rare herb, to which Ryan looks on in bewilderment. Noticing Ryan's displeasure, Hua Ryun becomes even more embarrassed. His thoughts are focused on the fact that he might have said something wrong, and this clearly worries him. However, he maintains a semblance of calm despite the flare-up of excitement. An awkward silence fills the room. Hua Ryun, still on the bed, reflects on how short his sleep was, as if he had only closed his eyes for a moment. The realization brings him back to reality, where he tries to determine where Ryan is now. Standing up with effort, Hua Ryun touches the headband on his head as if checking his condition. The question of whether Ryan has left him flashes through his mind. He feels a certain emptiness, as if something is missing, and this makes him think. Raising his head to the stars, Hua Ryun assumes that Ryan has returned to her room. It seems obvious to him that she did what she had to do, but his heart is aching with a strange feeling that he can't quite place. Looking at his hand that still feels Ryan's warmth, he tightly clutches the cloth she left behind. Memories of her care fill Hua Ryun's mind, and he tries to understand why it evokes such strong emotions in him. Just when he feels a strange emptiness, Ryan appears in the room holding a teapot. Her voice is filled with joy. She notices that Hua Ryun is awake and offers him some water. Her sincere smile makes his heart beat faster. Ryan, while serving water, tells Hua Ryun with concern that he needs to recuperate. She seems completely calm, but Hua Ryun senses that there is something more hidden in this moment, their unspoken feelings, waiting to happen. Sitting in the quiet of the room, Hua Ryun looks at Ryan and feels like an invisible connection is being established between them. This moment, filled with warmth and understanding, makes him realize how attached he is to her presence. Hua Ryun, thoughtful and slightly embarrassed, remains in the room despite the late hour. Ryan is surprised by his presence, questioning his intentions. Hua Ryun only remains silent, not revealing the reason, but appears vulnerable and quiet, as if in need of support. Smiling softly and sincerely, Ryoan tells him that since he is sick, she must take care of him. Her words emanate warmth, and her sincere concern fills the atmosphere with light, softening the tension of the moment. Hua Ryun looks confused and embarrassed by her words. He can hardly believe that someone could care so sincerely about him. His confusion highlights how unused he is to such care and attention. Ryoan, with a bright smile on her face, reminds him that there is no one she wants to take care of more than him. She holds a tray of food in her hands, coming closer. Her confidence in her words creates a feeling of comfort and safety. She hands the food to Hua Ryun, offering him a thoughtful meal and rest. The light falls softly, highlighting her sincerity and kindness. He sits listening to her, still slightly shy in accepting her kindness. When Ryan leaves, Hua Ryun, left alone, thoughtfully takes the handkerchief, bringing it to his face. It is difficult for him to express his feelings, but his gaze betrays gratitude and an internal struggle mixed with warmth. Ryoan, not understanding his silent reaction, asks him in surprise what he is thinking. She stays nearby to continue her concern. Her words convey genuine interest in his feelings. Seeing his confusion, she asks what he wanted to say, but her gentleness prevents the conversation from turning into an interrogation. She stands with the tray, trying to maintain an atmosphere of lightness. Hua Ryun seems to be about to go to sleep, expressing fatigue, but Ryan insistently reminds him that he needs to eat to gain strength. Her words are soft, but with a touch of caring sternness. Despite her fatigue, she convinces him to try at least a piece. Her persistence is filled with warmth, and her words convey a desire to help, even if he does not ask for it. In the end, he gives in under her caring gaze. Ryan takes care of Hua Ryun despite his protests, trying to feed him. He is confused by her insistence, but she convinces him that he has not yet regained his strength and needs to take care of his health. A warm but funny atmosphere passes between them. That evening, Ryan jokes about the situation, recalling that Hua Ryun is younger than her and has not fully recovered yet. He is embarrassed and she laughs, calling him Ronchik. Her spontaneity confuses him, but there is a sense of concern in it. A strange feeling comes over Ryan when she notices that their rooster Hukwol has become bigger and more powerful. She wonders why he seems to have changed, even though she has only seen him recently. Ryan is pleased that the rooster seemed to be concerned about her health. She hugs him, feeling a connection. Hua Ryun watches them but remains skeptical, clearly not sharing her excitement. Looking at Hukwol, Ryan notices how he has changed. becoming majestic and mysterious. She thinks that he has become like a phoenix or a red falcon. Her admiration is noticeable, but Hua Ryun seems to remain distrustful. Hua Ryun notes that even to Ryan, Hukwol no longer seems like an ordinary rooster. He looks at the bird thoughtfully, as if trying to understand its true nature, but still doubts its uniqueness. Ryan wonders if Hukwol can become a spirit if he absorbs spiritual energy. She smiles and points out that it won't make him a phoenix despite his bright coloring, while Hua Ryun listens to her with a reserved but attentive expression. Hua Ryun warns that raising a phoenix could attract spirits that could possess Hukwol. He has comical images of the elders forcing her to raise only phoenixes. She laughs, not taking it seriously. Ryan recalls how the future leader was afraid of spirits as a child. She laughs at the memory and Hua Ryun blushes, trying to remain serious. Her mirth is infectious, and he is embarrassed by her joke. Despite her jokes, there is a genuine sense of support between them. Hukwol, transformed and mysterious, remains the center of their attention, causing both admiration and debate about his true nature. Ryan began to think about how her family needed to be revived and strengthened. Her determination to help her family grew stronger every day, as she realized that everything was in their hands, and she hoped to soon gain the strength to make her contribution. The girl dreams of becoming stronger and able to support her family. She is sure that her efforts will be useful and will help change the future. Ryan sincerely believes that her aspirations will lead to well-being, despite all the difficulties. They notice a black rooster behaving defiantly. This restless creature is making noise and irritating everyone around him. It is decided that he needs to be separated from the rest of the hens to prevent chaos. During the construction of a new chicken coop, a black rooster manages to escape. His strength and agility surprise everyone, and the situation begins to take an unexpectedly comical turn, forcing Ryan to reflect on what happened. Ryan and the grown man try to figure out where the rooster went. Someone points to the fence where the bird disappeared, adding to the excitement. Ryan decides to check all possible routes. A small but determined girl notices that a rooster has jumped over a fence. She feels a mixture of irritation and admiration for this stubborn fugitive. It seems that there are no obstacles for him. Ryan suspects that the rooster is heading towards the mountains. She is worried that the wild nature may be dangerous for him. At the same time, she is determined to bring the fugitive home. Hua Ryun suggests that the rooster should be locked up more securely. He is slightly displeased, but Ryan, for his part, laughs at the whole thing, turning the tension into a light joke. Watching the dark horizon, the heroes come to the conclusion that the rooster may have gone far away. Their thoughts are mixed, from concern for his safety to the desire to catch this unusual creature. Ryan anxiously explains to Hua Ryun that the dangers come not only from wild animals, but also from humans who might steal their clan's rare rooster. Hua Ryun coolly replies that only the desperate would dare to steal such a valuable item, causing Ryan to be surprised and slightly afraid. Ryan looks at Hua Ryun with confusion, thinking about his sternness. She is shocked by his cold tone and notices that he speaks easily about terrible things without attaching much importance to them. Her thoughts are full of contradictions, and she becomes more and more convinced of his ruthlessness. Hua Ryun looks into the distance, focused and confident. His gaze is filled with determination, and his thoughts embody the makings of a future leader of Maojong Temple. His calmness and control over the situation amaze Ryan, who can't help but feel his strength. Ryan asks with bated breath if Hua Ryan really intends to go looking for the rooster. Her eyes are filled with worry, but Hua Ryan remains composed and continues to think about the plan without showing any emotion. Ryan feels that her questions are going unanswered. Ryoan assumes that the rooster has gotten lost and is now wandering alone, looking for the way home. Her voice trembles with excitement, and her thoughts are filled with compassion. Her anxiety grows as she imagines the helpless bird lost in the woods. Hua Ryun sighs tiredly, clearly understanding that Ryan is full of emotions, but does not share her worries. Her enthusiasm and determination to search for the missing bird seems strange to him, but he is willing to follow her so as not to leave her alone. Ryan decides to go on a quest despite the difficulties. Hua Ryun follows her, realizing that she cannot be left alone. Their small group is joined by guard Zhong Yeon, who is alarmed by the idea of the young lady going on a dangerous journey. Their mission becomes clear. The team of Ryan, Hwaryun, and Jung-yeon sets out to rescue the missing rooster. The autumn landscape surrounds them with colorful leaves, creating an atmosphere of both danger and adventure. The determination of all three becomes the key to success. Ryuan tries to walk as hard as she can, but faces difficulties in the mountains, where the spiritual energy in the air makes it difficult to breathe. Her physical weakness shows, but she tries to overcome it, not wanting to let her companions down. Surrounded by the bright autumn light, Ryuan gathers her strength and continues on her way. Her faith in the rescue grows stronger, and her companions remain by her side, supporting her. Together, they become a team, ready to overcome all challenges to save the rare bird. Hyunwoo suggests going back, but Ryan reminds them that they haven't found Hookwol yet. Hyunwoo assures them that he will continue searching despite the difficulties. The mood is heavy, but a spark of hope still warms their hearts. Ryan suddenly appears in the shadows of the trees. She addresses Hyun, firmly stating that they must continue on their way. Her voice is full of inner strength, and her gaze expresses deep concern for Hookwol. Ryan notices something ahead and excitedly calls out to Hookwol. Hyunwoo and Hwaryun's gaze is also directed there. A brightly colored rooster jumps out from behind a tree, revealing itself to be Hookwol. The situation takes a new turn. The rooster watches calmly as Ryan runs up to him. The girl looks at him with tenderness and reproach, as if trying to understand how he could have gotten so far away. Her voice is soft, but there is a sense of relief in it. Ryuan suggests they go home. She reaches out to the bird, and it responds immediately. In that moment, they seem to understand each other on some deep level. The connection between them feels almost magical. However, the next moment, Hookwol begins to glow as if engulfed in a magical flame. A bright light fills the space, and everyone present watches in amazement as the bird transforms into a majestic phoenix. Hookwol spreads his wings and looks at Ryan as if saying goodbye. His majestic appearance makes the girl feel a mixture of delight and sadness. She quietly asks if he really has to go, but there is no answer. The phoenix rises into the sky, leaving behind a trail of light and feathers. Ryan, Hyunwoo, and Hwaryun watch its flight, feeling awe. This moment fills their hearts with a sense of loss, but also new hopes. Suddenly, Hwaryun approaches Ryan. His appearance begins to change. He is enveloped in the same light as Hookwol. Ryan is shocked by what is happening, her eyes wide in surprise, while Hyunwoo just watches silently. Hwaryun transforms into a phoenix, leaving everyone even more shocked. Ryan feels a surge of mixed emotions. Pride, joy, and surprise. This unexpected turn of events promises new, amazing adventures ahead. Ryan and Hwaryun watch as the rooster flies away, leaving behind mysterious feathers. Ryan is confused, as she did not expect the situation to end this way. Her eyes are wide in surprise, while Hwaryun, standing next to her, looks more reserved, but clearly puzzled. Ryuan picks up one of the feathers, which emits a warm glow. She looks at it with genuine delight, as if she senses its magical nature. This moment brings a small smile to her, as if the feather gives her hope or a hint of something significant. Ryan begins to wonder if the people around her will believe their story of how the rooster turned into a phoenix. Hwaryun, on the other hand, is cautious, warning her of the possible danger. He mentions the various factions that could have been involved in this event. Ryan smiles and reminds Hwaryun of another faction, the Machong Temple, as if trying to make fun of his seriousness. However, her words make Hwaryun tense up, and he seems uneasy about her remark. A sense of hidden danger grows in the air. Hwaryun suddenly experiences a surge of anxiety. He is clearly troubled by the mention of the Machaean Temple, and it shows on his face. At this moment, he feels that the situation has gone beyond a simple misunderstanding and has a premonition of something dangerous approaching. Hwaryun explains that the Machaean Temple is too far away, and their conversation about it seems strange to him. He expresses doubt as to why Ryan would even bring up such a distant faction, further increasing the tension. Despite the warnings, Ryan continues to hold the pen with interest. She says thoughtfully that since they are discussing this place, it may be related to their discovery. Her certainty causes conflicting emotions in Hua Ryun, who tells her not to think too seriously about it. Suddenly, the pen in Ryan's hand starts to emit a bright flame, causing everyone to become confused. Hyunwoo, who is standing nearby, expresses extreme concern. Hua Ryun, who is visibly scared, tries to understand what is happening, but the situation is getting out of control. Everyone panics, thinking that the feather might cause harm. Hua Ryun suggests finding water to put out the flames, but Ryan notices that it doesn't burn her hand at all. This discovery leaves everyone with mixed feelings of surprise and relief. The feather continues to glow, but it is clear that its magic is safe. Ryun looks at it with renewed hope, as if this discovery is the key to solving a mystery. Everyone around him remains wary, aware that this is only the beginning of something much larger. Ryan is excited to see the light on her hand flickering and fading, her surprise attracting the attention of Hua Ryun and Hyunwoo. The girl, dressed in traditional attire, experiences mixed feelings, joy at what is happening and a little confusion. Hyun asks Ryan if she's okay, if she's burned herself. Ryan quickly reassures him, assuring him that she's in no danger. Hua Ryun watches the situation with a mixture of surprise and disbelief, clearly not sharing her lightheartedness. Ryan begins to wonder with a hint of sarcasm how a normal rooster could turn into a phoenix, dismissing Hua Ryun's guess as a joke. She tries to hide her thoughts, although her inner surprise still gives away. A majestic deer with a spiritual aura is shown against a forest backdrop. Ryan discusses how animals can become spirits if they accumulate enough spiritual energy. She recalls adding her spiritual energy to chicken feed. The girl ponders her plans to raise chickens to extract their internal cores. Images of a glowing blue ball, symbolizing stored energy, float through her mind. Her ideas seem risky but exciting. Ryo-an feels a little sad about parting with her experiment. However, she is comforted by the thought that she managed to preserve their inner core. She wonders if everything will be okay with her project. Hua Ryun assures Ryan that the phoenix will feel great anywhere, like a true king. Despite the words of encouragement, Ryan remains a little sad, but continues to smile, hiding her feelings. Focusing, Ryo-an speaks of the need to move on. She notes that spiritual energy is accumulating faster than she expected, adding to her anxiety. But that's no reason to stop. Ryan notices how far they have gone into the forest. Her confusion and worry are mixed with a slight fatigue, but she is determined to regain control of the situation. Hua Ryun continues to encourage her, even if he does not fully understand her state. The scroll in front of Ryun reveals a clue. In living nature, spiritual energy accumulates much faster. This discovery shocks her. She is excited and amazed at how quickly everything is changing. Her voice betrays anxiety, and she is determined to move on. Ryan heard rustling sounds in the thick bushes, which made her wary. She felt curiosity ignite inside her, mixed with a little worry. She called Hua Ryun and Hyuna over to investigate together, as she felt like someone was watching them. Looking closer, everyone noticed a small, trembling kitten who looked scared and completely defenseless. His fur was slightly ruffled, and he was having difficulty maintaining his balance, as if he had lost his strength. Ryan's heart sank with pity, because the little one was clearly in trouble. Ryan picked up the kitten, looking at its frail form. She noticed how softly it trembled, and came to the conclusion that it was probably lost. Hyunwoo suggested that it might have been abandoned due to weakness, but this only made the girl more determined to help. She worriedly voiced that leaving the kitten there would be tantamount to its death. Hua Ryun tried to remain cool, claiming that the baby would not survive in such conditions. However, Ryan was convinced that they could not abandon the animal to its fate. Hua Ryun suggested keeping the kitten, since they had already traveled a long way. However, his words caused an internal conflict in Ryan. She wondered if she could take responsibility for the baby, since its life was entirely in her hands. Looking at the trembling kitten, Ryun realized that she couldn't leave him to die alone. Her gaze became determined, and she felt a surge of confidence, despite all the doubts that were being instilled in her. She knew that she was doing the right thing. Hua Ryun admitted with displeasure that her decision was unchangeable. The girl named the kitten Belyash, giving him her first name. She gently pressed him to herself, and her kindness seemed to warm the fragile creature, instilling hope that he could survive. Belyash began to calm down, feeling the warmth coming from Ryun. Her caring arms became a shelter for him from the world that had treated him so cruelly. The girl felt her energy being transferred to the baby and believed that he would gain strength. Ryan looked at the happy kitten and realized that her decision was an important step. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction from saving a small life. This feeling sustained her despite Hwaryun's criticism and the doubts of others. Hwaryun reluctantly admitted that the girl had acted in her own way. Ryan, holding Belyash, understood that there might be difficulties ahead, but she was sure that their meeting was not accidental. For her, this moment became a reminder that even a weak creature deserves care. Ryan, moving quickly along the path, encounters an obstacle and scolds Hwaryun for not paying attention. They discuss the dangers of the cliff, filled with emotion and concern, creating a tense atmosphere. Two men in the city talk about a mysterious phoenix spotted in the mountains. Their dialogue is filled with a sense of foreboding that something important could happen to their family, heightening the intrigue of the events. The belief that the phoenix is an omen of greatness lifts the spirit and hopes of the family. The homeyard is filled with the light of hope for future changes. A lively conversation in Ryoan's house concerns the phoenix, and someone suggests that it has appeared to protect the lady. This idea brings a smile, but also hidden embarrassment to Ryoan. The helpful woman notices something surprising, radiating a mixture of delight and amazement. Her reaction adds an element of mystery and heightens the tension surrounding the mysterious phoenix. It turns out that Ryoan has decided to take care of a small kitten that she found abandoned. The kitten's gentleness and cuteness soften the atmosphere and add a light mood to the story. The conversation confirms that the creature found is a kitten and not a tiger. Ryun is delighted and expresses admiration, emphasizing his affection for his new pet. Ryan's joyful reunion with her younger brother Bial fills the stage with warmth. Bial rushes to embrace her, expressing genuine joy at the meeting. Bial proudly shares his academic achievements, boasting about Uncle Hyunwoo's praise. This moment shows his diligence and desire to earn the family's recognition. An atmosphere of harmony and love intertwines with the expectation of future achievements. The family is united by faith in omens and hopes for the future. Ryan happily greeted her friend who brought the treat. The friend sheepishly admitted that she couldn't resist trying it herself. This sweet gesture touched Ryan, who thanked her friend, sincerely admiring her thoughtfulness and cheerful sincerity. The friend, enjoying the conversation, offered to treat Hwaryun as well. He stood aside, watching the girls with embarrassment. Ryan responded to his evasive refusal with enthusiasm, trying to involve him in their cheerful conversation and share the moment. Seeing Ryan's determination, Hwaryun reluctantly agreed to come closer. Her confident words and good-natured persistence left him no chance, and he stepped towards them with slight embarrassment, realizing that it was useless to resist. Ryan handed the food to Hwaryun, waiting for his reaction. Despite his confusion, he tried it, and his face suddenly lit up with pleasant surprise. The girl happily celebrated the success of her plan, cleverly playing off his embarrassment. The girls laughed happily, enjoying the moment. Hwaryun, although he tried to hide his emotions, could not resist the warm atmosphere. Their friendly banter created a sense of coziness, which was enhanced by the general joy. Hyunwoo watched the scene with interest, asking slightly mockingly if this was why everyone had come to him. Everyone burst into laughter, playing off his words. Their friendliness was warming, and the light humor made the moment even more vivid. Everyone gathered around the kitten, who attracted attention with his cuteness. Ryun, beaming with happiness, looked at him tenderly. Her friend joined in the delight, sharing her warm impressions and praising the fluffy pet. Hyunwoo asked what Ryan had decided to name the kitten. She said that she had originally wanted to name him Belyash, but her mother had suggested Baekryong. Everyone liked the elegant name and enthusiastically supported it, discussing its meaning. Hwaryun, with a smile on his face, remarked that the name Baekryong sounded much better than Belyash. Ryan couldn't help but react to his remark, and their light argument caused laughter from the surrounding people, creating an even more friendly and cheerful atmosphere. Hua continued to joke, recalling that first there was Chernish, and now Belyash. His mocking comments and good-natured laughter infected everyone, leaving everyone feeling happy and ending the day on a positive note with loved ones. Ryuan, noticing something unusual, looks surprised and worried. Her violet eyes are wide open, and her thoughts reflect fear and uncertainty that everything that is happening now affects her personally, causing great anxiety. Hyunwoo asks worriedly if Ryan is in pain, noticing her confusion. Hua Ryun stands nearby with a calmer but interested expression, observing the situation. Ryan offers to help Hua Ryun with the problem, hoping that he can suggest a solution. However, he, slightly confused, expresses doubt that he can help in this situation. Ryan tries hard to explain to Hua Ryun how to approach the problem correctly. Despite his uncertainty, she firmly insists on being careful and gentle, comparing her actions to touching a flower petal. Finally, Hua Ryun reluctantly follows Ryan's instructions and gently touches the little kitten. The animal looks slightly displeased, but Ryan watches the process with genuine excitement. As the kitten calms down under her gentle touch, Ryan notices the change in the atmosphere. Her gaze is full of concern, but she wonders why Hwaryun's face is filled with confusion. Hwaryun wonders if his lack of experience with animals is due to the fact that he has never known love for them. His thoughts reflect a slight regret and a desire to better understand the situation. Under Hwaryun's gentle touch, the kitten calms down and falls asleep. This causes tenderness in everyone present, and a warm smile appears on their faces, and the tension disappears. A little boy, watching the scene, asks when they will feed the kitten again. Ryan smiles and says that she has already taken care of it, but suggests that they do it together later, maintaining a friendly atmosphere. Ryan listened sadly to the reproaches that she should play less with the kitten and study more. Her brother Hwa Ryun guided her on the path of study, demanding that she pay attention to literacy, writing, and martial arts. His serious tone made her immediately return to her studies. In the warm light of the morning, Ryan paused in her work when she heard the maid's worried cry. The girl turned around and saw her worried face. The maid had come running with unexpected news. Something had clearly disrupted the usual routine. Ryan raised her eyes in surprise when she heard that the head of the Manson household had arrived. This news seemed incredible to her, as visits from such important people were rare. Her interest and excitement completely captured her. The maid carefully placed the teapot on the table, explaining that Ryan's grandfather, Danmok, had asked for her to be brought to him. This gave the situation even more significance, and Ryan felt a slight tension, unsure of what was to come. Outside, the majestic Manson home opened up, surrounded by a lush garden. The home symbolized the power and influence of a family whose holdings stretched across much of the province. The visit of the head of the house meant the beginning of something important. Ryan learned that the Munson family had a long and close relationship with her Danmok family. It was an alliance that had been strengthened over the years, beginning when grandfather Danmok saved the young Munson chief from bandits, earning him a lifelong friendship. The story of this friendship came alive before Ryan's eyes when she learned how her grandfather had defended Munsung with dignity and honor. Their relationship was reminiscent of the deep traditions and mutual support between families. Ryan wondered why Chief Munson had decided to visit them. She was worried that it might have been because of the gift her uncle had sent her, a rare vial of blue lotus. She hoped that there would be no misunderstandings. The girl was led through long corridors to her grandfather. Light fell through the latticed windows, creating a bizarre play of shadows. Each step brought her closer to a meeting that could change the course of events. In the guest room, Danmok and Chief Munson were chatting, discussing important matters. Their firm handshake was a reminder of the unbreakable bond between the families, and Ryan felt honored to be a part of this history. Ryan watches the white-haired man sitting in front of her with awe. It is Danmok, her grandfather, the head of the family. His stern gaze and the wisdom behind him make the girl feel nervous. She greets him respectfully, following the traditions of her house. The girl, wrapped in a warm cloak, bows before Danmok. Her voice sounds confident despite her young age. She introduces herself, trying to make a good impression. Her eyes burn with a sincere desire to live up to the family's expectations. Danmok, studying his granddaughter, notices a change in her. His words are full of surprise and approval. He sees her clear gaze and hears her clear voice. His pride in his heiress becomes noticeable, but he still ponders important family matters. Danmok smiles and explains that her recovery is something worth celebrating. He is happy to see her healthy and active after being sick for so long. This small happiness fills the room with warmth and joy. Ryoan learns that her grandfather is trying to repay the debts of his youth. She admires his willingness to help the family despite all the difficulties of the past. Her eyes fill with respect, and her heart with the desire to support him. A small bottle of blue lotus appears on the table, a miraculous medicine created in the family pharmacy. Danmok shows it to Ryan, explaining that it can be a new step in strengthening the reputation of their family. The discussion turns to the idea of selling the medicine. Danmok suggests talking to the pharmacist. His wise words show how important it is to consider everyone's opinion in such important decisions. The family prepares to take a step forward. Danmok suggests contacting the owner of the pharmacy. His desire to develop the family business and improve the lives of his loved ones inspires everyone. The situation takes on a humorous tint, but at its core lies a serious approach to business. The pharmacist sets a condition. The decision must come from Ryoan. The girl finds herself in the spotlight. Her wisdom and sense of responsibility begin to emerge because the future of the family business depends on her answer. Danmok and the others look at their granddaughter with respect. She understands that it is time to make adult decisions. Despite her inner doubts, her eyes are full of determination. Her journey has just begun, but she is ready to take on the challenge. Danmok, thoughtfully sipping his tea, explained to his guest that the unique ointment was created by Ryan, his granddaughter. He added that it was important to ask her permission before using it, emphasizing her skill and importance in this matter. The guest, smiling, noted that the rumors about Ryun were astonishing. They said that she had communicated with the deities and returned with a special gift. However, Danmok, frowning, asked to stop empty talk and concentrate on current affairs, showing his seriousness. The guest asked Danmok a rhetorical question about the meaning of his visit, but he only looked embarrassed. After teasing the host, the guest sat down at the table. Ryun, listening with interest to their conversation, clearly enjoyed the rare opportunity to participate in such a conversation. There was a small bottle of ointment on the table, and Danmok was telling about its properties. When applied to the fingers, it gives lightness. When applied to the temples, it relieves headaches, and under the nose, it gets rid of a runny nose. Even one look at the ointment caused admiration for its magical essence. The guest, inspired by the description, suggested putting the ointment on sale, claiming that its unique properties made it a real panacea. His enthusiasm was infectious to those around him, and he was fired up with the idea of distributing the product to the market. Ryun, beaming with delight, asked how much such a miracle could be sold for. Her curiosity made the adults think, because the question was not so simple. They began to discuss the possible price and the strategy for selling. The guest's imagination conjured up images of gold coins and well-appointed ceramic containers. He figured that to make a profit on one portion of the ointment he would need to earn at least 10 gold pieces, and he began to make plans. The adults moved on to calculations. The guest thought about the proportions and volume of the necessary oils, noting that the manufacturing process was quite labor-intensive. He also expressed doubts that he would be able to set up mass production without compromising quality. Ryan reminded them that the ointment recipe was unique and that its production required a special approach. She set the price with a smile, 100 gold and 1 silver coin per serving. Her confidence made the adults reconsider their views on the value of the product. The guest looked at the bottle with surprise, wondering if it was worth the asking price. His expression quickly turned to admiration as he realized the uniqueness and potential of the ointment, preparing to put his plans into action. Ryan asks about who will handle the affairs of the contract with the Munson family. The interlocutor answers that his heirs will take on this responsibility. The girl's gaze is full of curiosity, and the conversation hints at the importance of the choice. The first heir, Gyeon Wee Cheon, is introduced, a man who has been running the family business for a long time and seems to have a good understanding of business. He smiles with confidence as he raises his cup, and his demeanor conveys a sense of celebration and success. The second heir, daughter Wee Yun, is presented as a cautious and thoughtful person who approaches any task with great responsibility. Her calm posture and concentration emphasize her serious approach to tasks. The girl ponders the merits of each candidate. She notes that Wee Chun, although he appears successful, actually relies on luck. This makes Ryan doubt his ability to run a business effectively. Ryan decides that she would only trust Wee Yun with the job, whose meticulousness she admires. She imagines her daughter successfully handling the task, but she realizes that the Munsong family business is not to her liking, and she begins to think about her own approach. Hearing the unexpected question about the third child, the girl is surprised. Her interlocutor informs her that the third heir, Wee Hak, is still studying and is just preparing to take on responsibilities. This information arouses Ryan's interest. Ryan turns to Wee Hak, expressing her desire that he be the one to handle her affairs. Wee Hak, in turn, is embarrassed by such a serious appeal, but does not refuse to help, showing his good-natured and open character. Wee Hak smiles as he explains that his father never took up the family trade, a fact that makes Ryan wonder about tradition and the new generation's willingness to take on responsibility. Ryan looks at Wee Hak carefully, sensing that he has potential. His friendly demeanor and sincerity make her trust him. She notes that he could be a reliable partner. Wee Hak looks surprised, but serious, and Ryan feels that choosing him was the right choice, and she is confident in his abilities and sincere approach. Ryuan, hearing a rumor about the magical ability of the blue lotus to cure any illness, ponders how it could make people pay any amount of money for it. She watches with genuine interest, imagining what benefits it could bring. The girl cautiously peeks out from behind a column, as if trying to remain unnoticed. But her appearance does not escape the attention of passers-by, and one of the women notices her, thinking that Ryan reminds her of someone, and is at a loss as to who she is. The woman's gaze changes to one of concentration, her thoughts focused on family intrigues. She ponders how to put an end to the wastefulness of her eldest son, Young-Jo, and his ambitious plans, feeling the weight of responsibility. Ryan, who is hiding and dressed in simple clothes, suddenly runs into the women. They are shocked to realize that the person standing in front of them is the second heir of the Gyeon Wee Woon family. The unexpectedness of the situation astounds them. The women nervously make excuses, trying to explain their presence and embarrassment. They claim that they are simply waiting for someone important, but their stiffness and fear betray their true feelings. One of the women tries to deny Ryan's suspicions, nervously making excuses and stating that there can be no talk of any heir to Gyeon Wee Woong, but their hasty reactions only increase suspicions. Another woman interrupts the comedy routine, tired of pretending. She admits that there is no point in hiding the truth any longer, since they have already been caught in the act. Her serious tone brings clarity to the situation. The woman introduces herself to Ryo-an with respect, feeling awkward at her simple appearance in front of the heiress. She feels a mixture of embarrassment and awe, realizing the importance of what is happening and her status. Ryo-an is surprised why the woman is in such a modest outfit and place. She wonders if she came with her father. However, she only gets an evasive answer to her question, which leaves her intrigued. The heroine, hiding behind an awkward smile, says that her brother could not come. However, her embarrassment and the tension in her voice betray her true feelings. She decides to stay to avoid misunderstandings, fearing that those around her will perceive her appearance incorrectly. The internal conflict adds spice to her words. The story begins with the heroine facing awkward circumstances. She has to resort to cunning to hide her true intentions. Her tension is noticeable, but her desire to act for the sake of her loved ones outweighs her fear of being exposed. The girl feels an internal conflict as she tries to maintain her confidence. Her efforts to disguise herself and sneak into the house seem daring, but they reflect her determination to overcome difficulties. Ryo-an greets her new acquaintance joyfully, offering to drop formalities. Ryoan's childlike spontaneity fills the scene with warmth, and her kindness immediately wins over. While in the house, the guest feels embarrassed by the state of the home. She tries to hide her thoughts, realizing that her comments may hurt the child's feelings. A tense smile betrays her efforts to remain polite. The awkwardness is smoothed over by Ryoan, who continues to maintain a welcoming atmosphere. Her sincere attempts to appear lighthearted melt the tension, causing her guests to smile. Ryoan expresses the idea of renovating the house and hiring servants. Her seriousness is unexpected for someone so young, but it only emphasizes her concern for the future of the family. The guest reveals her plans to sell her valuable property to improve her family's situation. This decision is not easy for her, but in her eyes one can see hope for a brighter future. Ryoan is excited about the prospects, dreaming of spending time with her family over a delicious treat. Her genuine joy and childlike dreaminess make even adults think about the simple joys of life. The guest is amazed at how much Ryan cares for her loved ones. Her words and actions evoke genuine admiration, emphasizing her maturity beyond her years. Ryoan talks about a boy who is very dear to her. Her delight and pride are conveyed through gestures and words, leaving a warm aftertaste and a sense of sincerity in her feelings. Ryoan watches her older brother take care of the family despite his young age, which makes her admire him and want to support him. Her thoughts are filled with warmth, and she realizes how important it is to show care and attention to loved ones, even if it seems easy for them to cope alone. The girl reflects on how she realized too late how much her brother does for everyone. She decides to give him something special to show her gratitude. Ryan is determined and already plans to buy her brother new clothes, believing that this will be a symbol of her care and appreciation. With enthusiasm and childlike excitement, Ryan tells her grandfather that she is going to class. Her energy is infectious, and her eyes shine with joy at the opportunity to learn and contribute to her family. Her sincerity and simplicity touches everyone around her. In the darkness, full of determination, Ryoan bids farewell to one of her acquaintances, promising to meet again. The woman looks worried as she watches the girl. The anxious expression on her face hints at possible difficulties ahead, but Ryoan remains confident and calm. During the carriage ride, accompanied by the greenery of the forest, Danmok notes Ryan's insight and resourcefulness. He marvels at her maturity and ability to make decisions that many adults cannot. His voice sounds proud despite his reserved tone. Danmok discusses Ryan's age, noting how quickly she is growing. He recalls how she was recovering from a difficult time last fall, and now confidently entering her 8th year. The thought fills him with quiet joy for her progress. Ryoan holds a bottle of medicine in her hands. She realizes that making the potion herself makes it less effective, but it allows her to save a lot of money. Her thoughts are focused on finding the best solution to help others while remaining frugal. The girl admires her invention and smiles as she wonders what price she can get for a jar of ointment. Her eyes glow with pride and hope, and her thoughts are full of plans for how her work can bring benefit and joy to people. Danmok appreciates Ryan's genius, wondering how such a young girl could come up with such a strategy. Her ideas on how to make an expensive product more affordable amaze him. He quietly rejoices at her success and believes that fate has favored him by giving him such a granddaughter. In a conversation with his escort, Danmok ironically discusses the fate of one of the young aristocrats. He heard that he was having more fun than studying while at the academy. This topic evokes mixed feelings in him, but his attention remains focused on Ryun's success and future. Danmok, despite his tired appearance, still tries to maintain his dignity. However, those around him notice his bizarre habits, including frequent visits to pubs. This causes a mixture of admiration and ridicule from those close to him. Danmok develops a headache from which he clearly suffers. He looks for ways to alleviate his condition, demonstrating dissatisfaction with his current circumstances. His thoughtfulness hints at fatigue and frustration. Danmok uses a special remedy, the blue lotus. He feels a cool energy flowing into his body. It seems that the remedy has not only a physical effect, but also a spiritual effect. After using the blue lotus, the headache disappears and his thoughts suddenly become clear. Danmok feels enlightenment and inner peace. He thanks fate for this miraculous remedy. Danmok notices that he received a new bottle of the remedy from Ryan, but expresses annoyance when he realizes that it will have to be sent to Waihak. He is displeased that the man is incapable of handling basic tasks. When Ryo-an learns that her grandfather is not feeling well, she is worried. The servants tell her that he woke up late and went straight to check the shops. The situation causes a slight tension among the people around him. Ryan suggests that Danmok may have gone to play cards rather than shopping. Her concern is mixed with a touch of irony, as her grandfather's behavior remains unpredictable. Ryo-an instructs the servants to call a doctor and prepare a hangover potion in advance. She shows concern and attention, despite her ironic attitude towards some of her grandfather's actions. The servants confirm that the tincture will be prepared. They discuss Danmok's odd behavior, but continue to act on Ryun's instructions, who is closely monitoring her grandfather's health. Despite misunderstandings and discontent, Danmok remains in the spotlight. His life is filled with minor complications, but his loved ones are ready to support him, creating an atmosphere of easy care and family warmth. A young woman ponders the need to eliminate the influence that is following her brother. Her subtle plans are forming in her mind, and she considers whether to involve someone from outside to accomplish this task. The conversation mentions the elder brother's circle of friends. The woman, showing obvious disdain, calls them beggars, which emphasizes her contempt for their position and relationship with her brother. Ryo-an, who is between her older and younger brother, is aware of her role as the second child in the family. Her gaze is filled with sadness, as she has always lacked attention, which makes her situation difficult. Ryo-an reflects on how she always displayed the qualities that befitted the heir of the family. She tried to be worthy of her position, but it did not bring her inner satisfaction. However, choosing the family's heir is not just about skill. Ryo-an notices her father, who seems to be going through a difficult time, likely because of this choice, adding to the emotional tension. Despite his position as the head of the province, Ryo-an's father is a caring father. He often shows his affection for his family, which contrasts with his domineering image in the eyes of society. The older brother Ryo-an, although keen on intellectual pursuits, does not have the talent to become an ideal heir. This causes regret in their father, increasing tension in the family. The father also has a third child who is far away. Despite the distance, this child remains dear to him. However, the parents rely on the fact that the middle child, Ryo-an, will cope on her own. Ryo-an suddenly realizes that the moments when her father paid attention to her were rare but meaningful. These moments resonate warmly in her memory, reminding her of her desire to be noticed. Ryan remembers how her younger sister took care of her and their brother. The memories are filled with warmth and light, highlighting how family bonds provide strength despite difficult circumstances. Ryo-an holds the doll and muses that her father might regret not paying her enough attention. She hopes that her actions will show that she cares for her brothers and make her father look at her differently, perhaps with gratitude for her efforts. The girl decides to send a message to her brother. She turns, looking away determinedly, her expression showing confidence and slight anxiety. She understands that her actions can play an important role in the current situation. Ryo-an realizes that she has already sent a maid on an errand and now finds herself in a difficult situation. Slight confusion and mixed emotions are visible on her face, adding a bit of humor and self-irony to the moment. Ryo-an's memories shift to the heiress of the Danmok family, whose words sounded like a prediction of her current situation. The girl feels that it was not a coincidence, and her thoughts are filled with a slight anxiety mixed with suspicion. The image of the Danmok heiress resurfaced in Ryan's mind. Her movements, clothes, and aura were filled with mystery and power. The woman's words continued to echo in the girl's mind, making her think even more about her place in this story. The view shifts to a snowy courtyard where Ryan's grandfather, Danmok, is happily celebrating the big day. He asks if she is truly ready to learn martial arts, to which Ryan enthusiastically replies, yes, showing her determination. Danmok warns her that the path will be difficult, and even with intense training, she may not reach the highest level of skill. However, despite this, Ryan, with sparkling eyes and a smile, shows her willingness to learn. Danmok, relying on his wisdom, openly says that even with diligence, her level may remain at the initial stage. Images of her possible failures appear before Ryan's eyes, which temporarily suppresses her mood, but does not break her spirit. An older man with a stern face reminds Ryan that she may never become strong. At this point, emotions reach their peak, but Ryan internally promises herself to prove herself wrong, deciding that she will fight for her goals. The final image shows a scene where the young warrior stands victorious, with a fallen figure in front of him. Danmok emphasizes that without talent, her efforts may be in vain. However, Ryan, clenching her fists, understands that the meaning is not only in victory, but in the struggle itself. Ryun, a little girl with kind, violet eyes, looked thoughtfully at her grandfather Danmok. She tried to explain to him that despite the impossibility of accumulating internal energy, she had the determination to master the family sword art. Her eyes shone with childish spontaneity and inner fire. Danmok reminded his granddaughter with a slight smile that she already knew about her limitations. He asked a question that stumped her, but his gaze betrayed hidden concern. He wanted to understand why she was so persistent in wanting to go down this difficult path. The girl's mind reflected doubts suggested by the voice of reason. These words reminded her that without inner energy, her skill would never be recognized. However, her persistence only increased, and she addressed her grandfather with tenderness. With a slight blush, Ryo-an shared her desire to learn martial arts. She dreamed of being the pride of her family and carrying on their legacy despite all obstacles. Her determination ignited sincerity and awe in her words. Danmok felt a little anxious. He gently warned his granddaughter that knowledge could be frustrating if skills remained elusive. His voice was serious, and his gaze expressed cautious wisdom. Ryo-an, without backing down, firmly said that she was ready to fight her feelings. Her words, full of determination and sincerity, touched her grandfather's heart, making him think about her incredible inner strength. Danmok looked at his granddaughter's face, and his heart filled with pride. He realized that he could not leave her without support, and decided to teach her the family sword art, excluding techniques related to internal energy. They went to the courtyard to train. Danmok started by asking her if she remembered the basic technique of their family sword. Ryun, without thinking, answered that it was the 12 swords of the falling star. Her voice sounded with a slight hint of delight. Danmok proudly told his granddaughter about the essence of this technique. He emphasized that its basis is precision, showing by his example how to skillfully and harmoniously wield a sword. His movements were full of grace and strength. Ryan listened and watched her grandfather attentively. She absorbed his every word as if she wanted to make his teachings a part of her soul. Danmok saw in her eyes not only discipleship, but also future strength that would one day bring glory to the family. Ryun looked curiously at her grandfather Danmok, who announced that he would show her a full set of sword techniques. Her eyes sparkled with delight, and excitement welled up inside her. She knew that this was a chance to see something amazing and majestic. Danmok began the demonstration, wielding his sword with incredible speed and precision. His movements resembled flashes of light, fast and clear, like shooting stars. Ryung watched his every move, mesmerized, barely able to process what she was seeing. Describing the movements, grandfather compared them to the moment when a star falls from the sky. It is impossible not to notice them. They are so bright and spectacular. A vortex of blue light and energy surrounded Danmok, as if emphasizing his skill. When Danmok raised his sword, he seemed to merge with the air, demonstrating a true form of art. His wise gaze and powerful movements showed how strong and experienced the family master was. This sight inspired Ryan. Seeing her grandfather's full power unleashed, Ryun felt the air around him swirl in a magical vortex. The thought flashed through her mind that even a simple observer could sense the greatness of these techniques. Danmok asked Ryan if she had been paying attention to his actions. The girl was delighted because just from watching his technique, she felt her own skills improve. Realizing that she could correct her mistakes thanks to what she had seen, Ryo-an enthusiastically accepted her grandfather's suggestion to try to replicate the technique. Her eyes lit up with enthusiasm and determination. Doubting her own abilities, Ryun felt an unexpected responsibility. Danmok asked her to demonstrate everything she could do, and the girl prepared to accept the challenge despite her inner doubts. In front of her stood a wooden dummy covered in sword marks. Realizing the difficulty of the task, Ryun wondered if she could perform the technique, knowing that she had seen it performed before. Step by step, Ryan began to repeat the movements. Her confidence grew as she remembered Danmok performing them with perfect precision. The soft sound of her footsteps mingled with the determination in her heart as she prepared for the next strike. Ryoan stands with a serious expression, holding a wooden sword. She thinks about the fact that the main thing is to try, and is about to take the first step towards mastering the skills. The girl looks at the wooden dummy with determination, preparing for training. Taking 11 steps forward, Ryan follows the movements she was shown. Her steps seem confident, and the space around her fills with an atmosphere of concentration. The marks left by her feet on the ground form a straight line. After completing the series of movements, Ryo-an happily realizes that everything worked out. Her face lights up with a smile, and her eyes sparkle with happiness. For the first time, she has mastered a technique that she thought was difficult. She is eager to share her success. Danmok watches his granddaughter in amazement, not believing that she was able to master the technique on the first try. His gaze combines pride and slight bewilderment, because it takes years of training to achieve such a result. Ryo-an runs up to her grandfather, full of excitement. She wants to tell him how she feels and ask him what he thinks of her success. Her innocence and enthusiasm make Danmok wonder about the girl's hidden potential. Suddenly, Ryan's legs give way and she falls. Danmok rushes to her side to help her. He is concerned about her condition, and his eyes show fear for her health. The girl looks exhausted, and he catches her to prevent her from hurting herself. Danmok, talking with Hyunwoo, finds out that Ryan's condition was caused by leg cramps. Hyunwoo reassures him, saying that there are no serious consequences for her health, but notes that the girl needs to rest. Danmok remains thoughtful. He realizes that what happened was not only caused by physical exertion, but also by Ryo-an's hidden talents. Her abilities surprise and alarm him, and he begins to think about future training. Hyunwoo suggests that the powerful energy emanating from Ryan may be unique. He reminds us that each martial artist has their own characteristics that cannot always be explained by traditional methods. Danmok and Hyunwoo come to the conclusion that Ryan may have a rare gift that must be cultivated with care. They recall that even siblings who learn the same art may develop it in completely different ways. Danmok watched Ryun train, admiring her skill. Despite her young age, her movements were graceful and precise. He thought about how her technique resembled the simplified style of the great master Daesun-ju. He was filled with pride for his granddaughter, as her talent promised great things. Ryo-an continued her training, holding a bamboo stick in her hands. Her concentration and grace seemed to transform every movement into art. Danmok knew that if she could develop her inner energy, her potential would reach new heights, opening the door to incredible possibilities. Danmok was relieved that despite the difficulty of the exercises Ryun had performed, she had only suffered mild cramps. He looked at her with a slight sternness, but inside he was filled with a sense of responsibility not to overwork his granddaughter and harm her health. Deep inside, Danmok felt guilty, thinking that he should have stopped her in time. He thought he could have calculated this moment, but his admiration for her incredible tenacity and talent made him hesitate. This internal contradiction was reflected on his face. Ryan stood there, slightly tired but radiant. Danmok, despite his doubts, couldn't help but admire her progress. Her talent was growing before his eyes, like a flower blooming with each passing day. This moment confirmed that her efforts were not in vain, and he became even more proud of her. Danmok instructed Captain Kang to move Ryan to the Moonlight House so that she could recover in a more comfortable environment. He was confident that this was the right decision. He knew that she needed rest to continue growing. In Ryan's chambers, her younger brother, Hwa Ryun, anxiously inquired about her well-being. He was clearly worried, but Ryan tried to reassure him with her warm and caring tone. The scene was filled with familial warmth, demonstrating their strong bond and support. Hwa Ryun, despite his sister's words, persistently tried to find out the reason for her cramps after the first day of training. His eyes were full of concern, but behind it was a sincere desire to understand what happened in order to avoid such situations in the future. Ryun smiled and assumed that she had simply overdone it. Her lightness and cheerfulness calmed those around her. She confidently assured her brother and everyone present that she was fine. Her cheerful attitude was a confirmation of her determination and inner strength. Finally, Ryun gently asked the others not to worry about her, but to focus more on their own affairs. Her words were spoken with warmth and wisdom uncharacteristic of her age. Her strong spirit and concern for others gave those around her confidence in her unbreakable nature. Hua Ryun tries to help Ryan by telling her that pressing a certain point can relieve her cramps. However, his clumsy attempt causes her to react unexpectedly, with pain and embarrassment, creating a comical yet warm atmosphere between them. Hua Ryun, dissatisfied with the pushy behavior, decides to stand his ground. His serious look and words reveal the tension he feels trying to show his independence, despite his affection for Ryan. Ryo-an doesn't hold back her surprise and, with a slight frown, says that he shouldn't be so rude to her, especially in front of others. Her vulnerability and sincerity add drama and poignancy to the scene. Hua Ryun, somewhat confused, tries to explain his actions, mentioning that he often hears reproaches addressed to him. The embarrassment on his face shows that behind his words there is uncertainty and an attempt to be heard. The conversation takes on a softer tone when Ryan asks in a reserved tone whether Hua Ryun intends to stay. Her gaze is filled with hope, and the surroundings emphasize the romantic mood of the moment. Ryan, with shining eyes, asks Hua Ryun to stay by her side. Her emotional attachment and sincerity are clearly expressed in her every move, creating an image of a gentle and devoted soul. Hua Ryun firmly replies that he will not leave her no matter what the circumstances. His confident tone and serious look show that he is ready to stay despite the possible difficulties. Delighted by Hua Ryun's words, Ryan smiles and asks him to promise that he will never leave her. Her joy fills the scene with warmth, making the moment sincere and moving. Ryo-an adds seriousness to his words by warning that breaking the promise will lead to a breakdown in their communication. Their intertwined pinkies symbolize the promise they made. Hua Ryun agrees, smiling, assuring her of his sincerity. This moment cements their bond, showing that trust and mutual promises play an important role in their relationship. The girl in the purple kimono happily declares that the future leader of the temple can be found anywhere because Ryo-an will remain with them. She looks confident and happy, and her mood seems to fill everything around her with warmth and light, causing flowers to swirl in the rhythm of her emotions. Voices are heard in the temple at night. One of the senior priests asks worriedly what is happening, but another, also in a panic, throws out a counter-question. The tension between them grows, reflected in the sparkling lights around the temple. In front of the elders, the magic bowl, which had previously glowed, was now extinguished. One of them suggested that the child could have died, but how could someone born under the protection of the 36 powers die? They decide to temporarily return to the clan to discuss what happened. Danmok is furious at this. He angrily declares that the vessel containing the constellation treasure has been lost, and now they are left with nothing. His anger colors everything around him in alarming, fiery tones, emphasizing the intensity of his emotions. The treasure vessels are relics given by the 9 celestial maidens. They were given to the senior priests of the Mashan temple to find a new leader. In the background of a sacred ritual, the elders carry the vessels, in their hands the fate of the future. The story goes that when a child with the gift of the 36 heavenly powers turns 6, the bowl begins to glow. But this time, things went wrong. The vessel that led to the east went out upon reaching Sachon, shocking the observers. Danmok is disappointed as the other elders have already found their candidates and returned to the clan. He wonders why finding a child born under the leader's heavenly star was such a difficult task. The elders discuss asking for help from the Hanam Province Martial Alliance. However, Danmok is not thrilled with the idea. They decide to do so, but not without a quick break to visit a restaurant along the way. It's amazing how the conversation about important matters turns into a discussion about Hanju's frozen beef. Both elders, despite the seriousness of the moment, perk up at the thought of delicious food, adding humor to their dialogue. Ryan and Bia were discussing whether they had enough product for the new project. In front of them was a wooden box with small bottles, and Ryan was thoughtfully thinking about adding a unique element that would highlight their product. Bia looked excited, clearly already thinking about an interesting proposal. Bia suggested adding symbols so that customers would immediately understand that the product came from their Blue Lotus craft shop. His idea sounded inspiring, and he looked at Ryan with enthusiasm, waiting for her reaction. At that moment, his eyes shone with sincerity and faith in their business. Ryuan raised an eyebrow in disbelief, as if trying to figure out if this was really a good idea. However, her thoughtfulness quickly turned to surprise when Bia mentioned the brand. Bia's energy and optimism were infectious, though she was still hesitant. Bia suggested choosing a symbol that would represent the essence of Ryan and match the spirit of their workshop. He thought for a moment, putting his finger to his lips, as if trying to imagine what image would perfectly express their creativity and the soul of their craft. After much thought, Bia had an epiphany. He happily suggested depicting a mandarin duck, as he associated this image with something cute, harmonious, and close. His face shone with confidence that this idea would be perfect. Ryun was taken aback by the choice of the duck and clearly couldn't understand why her brother had chosen this particular symbol. Her expression spoke for itself, but Bia, as always, played on her emotions, claiming that the duckling was associated with her. Bia emphasized that the duckling would perfectly convey the kindness and coziness that was characteristic of their workshop. He happily noted that this symbol would make their products recognizable and add charm to them. Ryan, however, did not share his enthusiasm. Without giving Ryuan much time to think, Bia suggested that they call a potter right away to implement their idea. He looked so determined that Ryuan couldn't help but roll her eyes. Her mood clearly signaled that she found her brother's idea a little absurd. Ryan finally snapped and reminded her brother that mandarin ducks swam in the pond at the moon house. She wanted to emphasize how strange it seemed to her to use that symbol for their products. Her expression was one of deep disappointment. Bia, oddly enough, agreed with her observation, admitting that he had seen ducks there before. His face expressed slight confusion, as if he was only now beginning to realize the strangeness of his proposal. But this in no way diminished his confidence in their cause. Ryuan was indignantly talking about how the little black ducklings looked scary and their feathers were sticking out in disarray. Her emotions grew when she heard them being compared to her, causing an outburst of indignation, reinforced by energetic facial expressions. Hua Ryun barely contained his laughter as he called the ducklings cute, which irritated Ryan even more. Furious, she began to lightly slap him, begging him to stop laughing. His amusement filled the room despite her indignation. At night, under the starry sky, Hua Ryun apologized, explaining that Ryan's face really did resemble a duckling in her irritation. This caused another surge of emotion, but this time mixed with a slight smile. In the morning, Hua Ryun jokingly presented a drawing of a duck, clearly putting his heart into it. Ryan looked at him in bewilderment, trying to understand what he wanted to say. She was surprised, but her interest still prevailed. Hua Ryun laughingly admitted that he had been drawing all night to cheer up Ryan. The girl, embarrassedly turning away, tried to hide her smile, realizing how much effort he had put into this drawing. Seeing another drawing of a duck with a duckling, Ryan froze for a moment. Her eyes lit up with admiration, and she realized that Hua Ryun was trying to convey not only humor, but also warmth. Ryan admitted that she really liked the drawing. Hua Ryun suggested using it to decorate bottles. The idea brought joy and enthusiasm to both of them, and their conversation became animated. They discussed the plan to decorate the bottles with the new design, thinking cheerfully about how to persuade the master. Hua Ryun, confident in his diplomacy, prepared for the negotiations. The master expressed his dissatisfaction with the expense, but Hua Ryun confidently continued to convince that it would be a wonderful addition. Ryan watched his confidence and couldn't help but smile. In the end, Hua Ryun beamed with joy and remarked that the master would definitely agree with his explanations. Their interaction filled the room with light laughter, uniting them even more. Ryan prepares for the party, deciding that these clothes should be enough for her. She asks the nanny to pack up all the remaining clothes, leaving a cozy, slightly magical atmosphere in the room. Her determination shows how much she wants to contribute to this event. The nanny, seeing Ryan, admires how beautiful the girl is in this dress. But Ryan says that she is not so cold anymore, and the dress is no longer too small. This moment reflects her growth, both internal and external, and her desire to move on. The nanny worries that the girl has not fully recovered, but Ryan assures her that she has enough other clothes. This highlights her determination and willingness to let go of the past to create something new. Hwa-ryun enters the room and asks Ryan what she plans to do with the clothes. Ryan explains her plan to sell them to make mandu and give them to people during the holiday. Her kindness and concern for others are especially evident. Hwa-ryun is surprised that Ryan won't celebrate her birthday, but the girl says that mandu is enough for her. This moment shows her modesty and desire to share happiness with others, even if it's her special day. Ryan asks Hwa-ryun if he's tried their family mandu with a sparkle in her eye. Her energy and enthusiasm are infectious, and her love for the simple pleasures of life makes her especially sincere and touching. Ryan says her family would make mandu every year for her birthday and then hand them out on the streets. When she was sick, her parents would pray for her recovery by handing out food. The story is filled with warm memories and family care. Hwa-ryun admits that he once tried their mandu, which delights Ryan. Her joy and genuine interest make the moment very vivid and emotional, showing how important family traditions are to her. Hwa-ryun ponders fate and its existence while remembering the taste of mandu. The moment is filled with a philosophical undertone and hints at how small events can connect people and change their lives. In the final scene, Hwa-ryun acknowledges with a small smile that the mandu were indeed delicious. His recollection of simple pleasure highlights how food can bring not only taste, but also warmth, joy, and connection between people. Ryan enthusiastically discusses with Hwa-ryun the possibility of throwing a real party. However, the boy is skeptical that they have almost no money left after their recent expenses. His words sound like a cold shower for the girl, but she does not lose hope. She happily reminds them that they recently signed a contract to sell a product called Blue Lotus. Ryan is confident that this will save their financial situation and looks forward to the profits that they can use for their own purposes. Ryo-on imagines how sales of Blue Lotus will start to bring in a steady income. Her imagination paints a colorful picture, beautiful bottles of ointment that promise to be the source of their success and wealth. The girl hopes that Kyung-wi-hak, an influential figure, will be able to see the potential of their product. She imagines Blue Lotus becoming popular, and the thought brings her genuine joy. Her eyes light up and she confidently proclaims that they will become rich. Her words are accompanied by a vivid visualization of mountains of gold coins surrounding Ryan, highlighting her optimism and ambition. Ryan shares her plans. If they start making money, they can throw a party for Hwa-ryun's birthday. Her enthusiasm is infectious, but the boy remains cool and even a little embarrassed by her initiative. She reminds him that if he keeps his promises, the party will definitely take place. Ryan truly believes in his abilities and persistently pushes her idea, convincing him to participate. However, Hwa-ryun is surprised by her persistence and casually mentions that he doesn't even know when his birthday is. The girl is stunned by this confession, but immediately suggests that they have a celebration right now. Ryan decides to choose a date for the celebration, suggesting September 15th. Hwa-ryun, seeing her determination, calmly agrees, leaving the decision to her. Her joy and energy are unwavering. Suddenly, she realizes that she just made up a birthday for Hwa-ryun. Her eyes sparkle with excitement again, and she prepares to make her dreams come true, no matter what the difficulties. Young Hwa-ryun watched the scene in the hall, slightly surprised. His stern gaze emphasized his thoughtfulness as he pondered over young Ryan's actions. Her unexpected initiative made him wonder how much she had changed recently. Hwa-ryun's gaze, full of curiosity, did not leave the stage. Ryan was giving out food to people on the street with a bright smile. Her joy and sincerity were visible to everyone. Those who stood nearby couldn't help but smile back. This picture of a brown-haired girl sincerely trying to help others was truly touching and inspiring. In the shadow of the building, Hua Ryun thoughtfully discussed Ryan's unexpected behavior with his subordinate. He still couldn't believe that the girl would so easily give up her birthday to help others. It was surprising to him because he was used to seeing her in a completely different light. Reflecting further, Hua Ryun wondered if it was worth organizing a celebration if Ryan herself did not enjoy it. His dubious interlocutor tried to convey that celebrations were important for the family's status. However, their dialogue highlighted how little they knew about Ryan's true desires. The other man insisted that not celebrating could affect how others would view their family. Hua Ryun disagreed, saying that only fools would judge them for it. Hua Ryun's words were full of confidence, but his other man clearly doubted the decision. Hua Ryun finally admitted that there was some merit to these arguments. People tended to judge by appearances and actions, even without knowing all the details. Thinking about this, he walked to the window and looked out into the distance. His gaze showed determination and a desire to figure out what was right. Despite all the thinking, Hua Ryun began to wonder how much money they had saved by not throwing a party. His slight grin and the glint in his eyes suggested that he had found a positive aspect in the situation, even if his interlocutor looked puzzled. Meanwhile, Ryan and Danmok were enjoying a quiet evening over a meal. The dishes on the table were simple but delicious. Ryan thought about how their routine had changed since their last training. Everything that was happening seemed a little monotonous to her, but at the same time it felt cozy. Danmok, sitting across from Ryan, asked her if she had ever seen a shooting star. He described how they fly by from far away, disappearing as quickly as they appear. His words were filled with wisdom, making Ryan reflect on the fleetingness and significance of moments in life. Looking at the night sky, Ryan realized how important simple moments of happiness are. In Danmok's words, she felt not only wisdom, but also hidden support. The girl, looking at the stars, realized that sometimes the most important things are hidden in the little things that we often do not notice. Ryoan, looking with admiration at the festively laid table, reflected on the importance of atmosphere and careful preparation in any undertaking. She thoughtfully raised her chopsticks, as if trying to capture the elusive essence of perfection. However, her gaze betrayed a slight bewilderment at the scale of the task ahead. Her hand shook slightly, as if the sticks had suddenly become heavy. The simple movement turned out to be difficult, which caused confusion, but also determination in the girl's eyes. She felt that simplicity can sometimes be deceptive, and her efforts require more than it seems at first glance. Activating her unique ability, 5 stars, Ryo-an was immersed in a world of sparkling energy that seemed to fill her with new strength. The bright streams of light were mesmerizing, as if opening up new horizons before her, showing that even setbacks could be turned into advantages. Danmok, watching his granddaughter, pondered her actions. He realized that the essence of shooting stars was much deeper than just external lightness. This moment seemed to reveal some truth to him that he had never noticed before, forcing him to think about the meaning of what was happening. The gray-haired master asked a question concerning the speed and precision of actions. Ryun replied that it was not only speed that was important, but also confidence in each movement. This idea captured Danmok's attention, awakening in him a desire to understand his inner nature even more deeply. Ryun visualized the stars falling from the sky. She realized that despite their grandeur, it was important to be able to control her actions, maintaining a balance between calm and precision. Her eyes blazed with determination, and her movements became more and more confident. Danmok's gentle touch on her hand brought the realization that knowledge and wisdom were the result of a shared journey. Her fingers mimicked her grandfather's movements, as if absorbing ancient experience, making this moment special for both of them. A sudden realization lit up Ryo-an's face. She felt a wave of understanding wash over her. Danmok's wisdom and her own determination merged together, revealing the true nature of shooting stars. It was the harmony of action and thought. The scroll that appeared in the air said that Danmok's luck had increased. Glowing symbols filled the room, giving the moment a solemnity. It was a reward for his wisdom and the journey he had shared with his granddaughter. Ryun watched in awe as her grandfather achieved enlightenment. His posture betrayed inner strength and peace, and the girl, clutching her chopsticks, understood that this was not only his achievement, but also her small victory. Ryan is alarmed to see Danmok meditating with concentration. She decides not to disturb him, so as not to distract him from his important task. She backs away cautiously, hoping to leave unnoticed. Along the way, Ryoan meets a servant who asks if she is hungry. The girl explains that her grandfather seems to have achieved enlightenment, and it is best not to disturb him now. Hearing the words about enlightenment, the servant is extremely surprised. His reaction confuses Ryan, and she insistently demands that he be quieter so as not to disturb his grandfather. The servant, realizing his mistake, apologizes to Ryoan and promises to pass on her words to others so that no one accidentally disturbs Danmok at an important moment. Back in her quarters, Ryoan reflects on the unusual luck skill she seems to be developing and wonders if it has something to do with doing good deeds. She remembers trying to help others by selling healing ointment and offering food. Despite this, her luck skill level seems to have not changed at all. Ryoan begins to question whether she has done enough to improve her abilities, deciding that perhaps her actions have not yet led to significant changes. After deep thought, she comes to the conclusion that perhaps she needs to do more good deeds to see results. The girl is inspired and wants to continue helping. Ryoan comes to the conclusion that she should cast aside her doubts and focus on being useful to others. She believes that over time this will lead to noticeable improvements. She ponders the limits of her abilities and wonders what will happen if her luck reaches its maximum level. Hoping for the best gives her strength and enthusiasm. In an ancient snowy courtyard, under a thin curtain of winter branches, two monks discussed recent events. They spoke of the enlightenment of Master Taesan Zhao, and their voices sounded curious. What awaits us next? They wondered, looking at the imposing clan building surrounded by austere gates. Inside the main building, the atmosphere was businesslike. One of the servants had been ordered to sort out all the messages from the Manson trading house. Everyone was carefully carrying out the orders, feeling the tension and importance of the moment. In this place, every move mattered. Young Hua Ryun stood thoughtfully by the window opening, watching the excitement. He noticed how the gloomy atmosphere had left the place. Now, as if inspired by fresh energy, people were moving towards new events. The family portrait of the clan revealed their happiness. After little Ryun woke up, life in the house seemed to sparkle with colors. Ryun shone like the sun, surrounded by her family, who supported each other in every moment. Hua Ryun heard that Master Taesan Zhao had achieved enlightenment after talking to little Ryan. He thought about it, realizing that her appearance and words could be the cause of all the changes that were happening. The energetic junior servant suggested throwing a party to celebrate such a significant event. However, Hua Ryun did not share this idea. He was sure that now was not the time for such an event. In a fit of emotion, Hua Ryun insistently explained that all clan members must remain disciplined and calm. The master's enlightenment was important, but he believed that everyone should focus on their duties. His irritation only grew. Every time the subject of celebration was raised, he could hardly contain his anger. The feelings inside him were warring, responsibility for the clan and the desire for joy. In his study room, Hua Ryun tried to cope with his own excitement. He was distracted by the talk of the celebration, and again he was deep in thoughts about how to keep order in the house. When a servant entered his office with news of the list of successful students who had passed the exams, the noise in the street became a mystery to him. However, the thought of the connection of this news with his clan plunged him into thoughts about the future. The young man, his expression tense, suddenly realizes that he is probably someone from the important Manson family. He is stunned by the thought of how their success in the state exams may affect further events. One of those present reports that the third son of the Manson family has successfully passed the civil service exam. He shows a document to prove it, causing surprise and admiration among those around him. Another man, stunned by the news, realizes how important this success is and wonders where Mrs. Ryan is, who he believes may have played a key role in this. When asked about Ryoan's whereabouts, someone says that she went to see a doctor. The person accompanying her suggests that they go there together to discuss everything and clarify the situation. The man hurries towards Ryan, excited to tell her something important. We see him hurrying, leaving the others behind, and his face shows anticipation of the meeting. Ryan and her uncle Hyunwoo are suddenly confronted with a large number of gifts neatly stacked in the room. Their amazement increases when they realize that the gifts are meant specifically for Ryan. The servant informs that these gifts were sent by the Manson Trading House as a token of gratitude. His friendly smile and sincere words emphasize the importance of the event. Ryoan wonders why the gifts were delivered to her and not to her uncle, who is usually in charge of such matters. Her innocent question reflects her character and habit of remaining in the shadows. The servant explains that this is just the Manson family's initial thanks for her services. They appreciate her contribution to the Blue Lotus, and the real gifts are on the way. One of the gifts is an elegant vessel with a duckling on it, symbolizing gratitude and success. It is hinted that the Blue Lotus will triple in value thanks to this, which will undoubtedly influence further events. Ryan happily shares her hopes for the family's financial situation to improve. She is happy that her efforts to create the Blue Lotus have been successful. Her excitement is infectious, and Hyunwoo teases her niece that the flower is not as wonderful as she thinks. Hyunwoo laughs, suggesting that it's not because Ryan is talented, but perhaps because her uncle is just very smart. He corrects her, reminding her that the youngest son of the Guyan clan should be called Mr. Guyan. Ryan corrects herself sheepishly, happy for the kind instruction. Hyunwoo explains that he is her real uncle, and the other man is the clan's youngest son. Smiling, he shows Ryan an exquisite flute made of white jade. Her eyes light up with delight at the exquisite object, and she eagerly awaits her chance to examine it. Hyunwoo becomes slightly jealous when she sees Ryan calling another man uncle. He reacts sharply, emphasizing that he is Ryan's only uncle. Ryan laughs at his emotional reaction, but this only brings them closer together. Hyunwoo hands Ryan a jade flute, her hands trembling as she reaches out to the gift. She takes the instrument, admiring its fine craftsmanship. The atmosphere becomes warm and joyful, showing the sincere bond between uncle and niece. Taking up the flute, Ryoan notices how her energy begins to fill with life force. Her eyes widen in surprise, and she realizes that this instrument has magical properties that can restore energy. Hyunwoo reveals that among the gifts that were sent, the flute was the most precious. He is proud that Ryan now owns such a rare and beautiful item. This further strengthens their bond, reminding them of his care. Hyunwoo mentions that he can play the flute too, although not as well as his brother. He decides to mention this to pique Ryan's interest, adding a warm note to their conversation. The girl smiles, feeling her uncle's support. Ryan offers to learn the flute and asks Uncle Hyunwoo to play the pipa for her. Hyunwoo agrees, assuring that he is the best pipa player in their family. A light and cheerful atmosphere arises between them, filled with mutual inspiration. Ryan is thinking about how she will celebrate her next birthday. She suggests decorating lanterns with paper flowers so that they will burn all night. Her uncle agrees with her idea, seeing it as an opportunity to make the celebration memorable and joyful for everyone. Ryan excitedly shares her thoughts about the upcoming celebration with Hyunwoo, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. She dreams of making it special, as it will be her first celebration in a long time. Hyunwoo, smiling, understands how important this moment is for Ryan and supports her, realizing how happy she is now. Hyunwoo looks at Ryan and remembers the past, when holidays were rare at their home due to her illness. His smile warms because now Ryan is healthy and full of life. These thoughts fill him with pride and joy for her recovery, because she deserves the best. Ryan thinks about how Hyunwoo had to hide his cheerful nature during those years so as not to worry her. She is grateful for his patience and care. Looking at his sincere smile, she realizes how much her uncle changed his life for her, and tenderness flares up in her heart. During their conversation, there is a slight awkward moment when the flute Hyunwoo is holding suddenly falls. Ryan, rushing to catch it, almost loses his balance. This moment causes light laughter and adds warmth to their conversation, reminding them how easily they can support each other. As Ryoan discusses what happened, she is amazed at how incredible her uncle is. His ability to solve complex problems and keep their home in order amazes her. She begins to see him not just as a relative, but as a wise mentor. Hyunwoo reflects on how much hardship her illness caused him in the past. He remembers how he tried to appear carefree so as not to worry her. His thoughts overflow with pride for helping Ryan get through the hard times and return to normal life. He decides to give Ryan the flute despite its value. Hyunwoo's assistant worries that it is too generous, but he is confident that this gift will become a symbol of her new life. He is happy that he can do something special for her. Ryoan recalls the last time she dealt with an unpleasant situation, showing her strength and determination. That incident, as well as her current achievements, were made possible thanks to her uncle's support. She realizes that their bond has become even stronger. Hyunwoo admits that it's hard to hide anything from her father in their home. However, everything that happens has an explanation. He feels that his pride in Ryan's success outweighs any possible risks associated with his generous gestures. Hyunwoo decides to take care of Ryan's brother by ordering new clothes for him. This gesture symbolizes the unity of their family, where everyone is ready to support each other. He hopes that this gift will be an expression of their love and care for their loved ones. Ryan, with a serious expression, reflects on the importance of controlling sales volumes. Her stern gaze and determination convey a high sense of responsibility and the desire to cope with a difficult task. Her outfit emphasizes the status and responsibility entrusted to her. After calming down, Ryan notices a duck on the water. Her attention is drawn to the unusual movement in the water, and she looks at the place with curiosity. Hyunwoo, who is standing nearby, asks her what happened, expressing concern. The girl's attention is focused on the little duckling, who seems strange to her. His awkward appearance causes Ryoan mixed feelings. She stares at him, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. Ryan wonders if her grandfather sees her as a clumsy creature, as he often calls her an ugly duckling. Hyunwoo, trying to console her, points out that the duckling is not ugly at all, but just different. Despite the words of comfort, Ryan indignantly continues to insist that the duckling is indeed scary. Her reaction becomes almost comical as she points at the duckling in fear. Hyunwoo smiles and tries to calm her down by calling the duckling cute. Hyunwoo tries to share his thoughts about how animals are usually only interested in food, but Ryan always stands out from this rule. Her love for the duckling, despite the first impression, begins to show. Ryoan's opinion gradually changes. She sees the duckling reaching out to her and smiles, recognizing that he is indeed cute. It is a warm moment, symbolizing acceptance. Suddenly, Ryan learns that her grandfather, Danmok, has completed his enlightenment. Her face lights up with surprise and excitement, realizing that this is an important moment that could change everything. Flushing with sudden realization, Ryan rushes towards her grandfather, her determination and excitement evident. Hyunwoo barely has time to react, calling out to her, but is unable to stop her. Ryan, bursting into the room where Danmok is sitting, says "grandfather" with trepidation. His calm image in the shadows of the room and her bright silhouette against the light create a contrast that symbolizes the meeting of two generations and the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. Danmok, dressed in traditional clothing, greets his granddaughter Ryan warmly. His expression is one of joy, and soft light sparkles around him, creating an atmosphere of comfort and warmth. He thanks her for her visit, his voice full of tenderness and respect. Ryan, trying to show concern, hands her grandfather a cup of aromatic tea. Her hands carefully hold the cup, and her eyes are full of expectation. Danmok accepts her gesture with a smile, seeing her sincere desire to please him. Danmok, enjoying his drink, compliments Ryan on the effort she put into her preparation. His mood noticeably lifts as he shares his thoughts with her on how family care brings their clan together. Ryan curiously asks why her grandfather thinks that way. Danmok, noticing her sincere interest, becomes thoughtful, and a slight aura of magic is born around their conversation. Harmony and understanding reigns between them. Danmok invites Ryan to go outside. Her surprise turns to interest. She doesn't understand what her grandfather is planning, but his confidence makes her want to follow him. Danmok explains that thanks to Ryan, he has reached a new level of enlightenment. It seems only fair that she should be the first to see the fruits of this achievement. His voice is warm and grateful. Outside, Ryo-an sees her grandfather demonstrating his skills. He is focused, his movements are impeccably precise, her eyes are full of admiration, and the air around them seems to come alive. Danmok performs a series of incredible strikes, leaving perfectly even marks on the wooden posts. Ryun is amazed by the precision and power of his skill, seeing him as a true master. Danmok explains the technique of the 12 swords of the falling star. He explains that behind each movement are years of practice and deep understanding. Ryan listens with admiration, understanding the importance of these points. Danmok's final strike is accompanied by a shining light. Ryo-an is amazed by the beauty and power of his technique. For her, this moment becomes a symbol of their connection and the wisdom she wants to learn from her grandfather. Danmok proudly declares that their family is entering a new era. His confidence radiates in every movement and look. Wise and experienced, he seems to confirm that the level of skill Ryun has achieved is not just a family achievement, but the beginning of a new legend. Under the starry sky, Danmok is lost in memories. The pain in his back, the doubts in his own abilities that have accompanied him for many years, are gone, as if they had never been there. His confidence returns, and he stands firmly on the ground, ready to take the action he has long dreamed of. He picks up the sword he has kept for so long and evaluates it, as if testing his connection with the weapon. Danmok reflects on how the poison from the Blood Valley eroded his body and soul, preventing him from moving forward. But now he feels that everything has changed, and he is ready to take on the challenge of fate. The assistant standing nearby is shocked by the power emanating from Danmok. He watches as the master slowly draws his sword, emitting a glow like the light of the moon. His surprise turns to admiration, for the sight fills his soul with a sense of significance. Danmok enters a state of rebirth. His body is surrounded by a mystical glow, and his gaze becomes deep and penetrating. He feels renewed, as if he is being born again. The sword in his hands becomes an extension of his essence, connecting him with ancient techniques. He remembers that he had been searching for enlightenment for many years, and now it was at hand thanks to his granddaughter. Ryo-an becomes a symbol of hope for him and the new era they are starting together. His fist clenches with emotion, but there is no longer any doubt in it, only strength and faith. Danmok is greeted as a master who has been awaited for many years. His status is confirmed not by words, but by the aura he radiates. His assistant, smiling, looks at his teacher with respect and pride, realizing that with him, new times are coming for the whole family. The assistant can't hold back his tears. He says that he sees in Danmok the strength he had in his youth. Surprise and joy overwhelm him because he is witnessing something incredible. The words barely leave his lips, but his look says more. This is Danmok's triumph. Danmok smiles, but remains wise and calm. The assistant congratulates him sincerely, noting that Danmok may now be even stronger than before. With a slight reproach in his voice, the master replies that everything should be in moderation, but his smile betrays his pride. Danmok is proud to learn that young Wee Yak has successfully passed the civil service exam. He recalls how the Manson family has already sent gifts to thank the little lady. This event is filled with pride and warmth as the achievements of the younger generation continue to strengthen their family. Among the gifts is a flute, which attracts attention. The joyful Hyun-woo plans to teach the little lady how to play the instrument, admiring her abilities. Danmok, however, wonders why the head of the Gyeong family did not mention the significance of this thing. It is thought that the flute may have been given with the hope of making a huge profit, inspired by the sale of the blue lotus. The sellers dream of gold coins, and there is a greedy sparkle in their eyes. This hints at ulterior motives for the gifts. Despite the solemnity, Danmok emphasizes that the civil service exam is a significant event that deserves such attention. The others try to find out if anything else has happened, giving the conversation a mysterious tone. One of those present expresses concern over the strange behavior of the head of the House of Gold. His doubts cause Danmok to think seriously. This question awakens new suspicions and may be the beginning of a new turn of events. Danmok reflects on his reputation and the belief that his insight has astonished the entire nation of Hangzhou. He realizes that his wisdom and experience give him a special power, and this inspires respect from those around him, inspiring him to further achievements. The little lady glows with happiness, her joy literally lighting up everything around her. Danmok understands that the family no longer needs to worry about difficulties. This peaceful realization strengthens their spirit and confidence in the future. Looking at the lady holding the instrument, Danmok feels that the light has returned to their family. It is a symbol of rebirth that will illuminate their path even more brightly. The family is filled with a sense of unity and hope for the best. Danmok decides to send people to Henan province. This place seems important for the further development of events. His assistant clarifies whether it is the Muram union, which creates intrigue and adds tension. The story moves on to a mysterious description. In the distant province of Henan, powerful forces gather: the black sky lily, the white sky phoenix, and the white tiger. To combat the supreme evil, the Muram Union was created, uniting those who are driven by a common goal.